Fantastic. Fantastic. Exciting. It's very appropriate for the American spirit of the holiday. Mr.
And with
Frank.
that, we're going to play Italo Disco.
Oh yeah, but that's going to be later. So the guy, one of those guys, he's doing an imitation of Giorgio Moroder. That is for sure. We'll show the folks on what we're talking about. Frank, if you'll allow me, I want to talk about something that may sound like something that I've spoken about before, but I'm going to slightly augment it, and I'm going to preface it by telling you that, you know, what you're about to hear, it's not for the purposes of ranting. It's not for the purposes of me, whatever, complaining or opining or whatever it is. It connects to something that is happening in society at a grander scale, and it connects to something that our friend Duana wrote on Twitter, which we're going to read, which I'll read. And dude, if this show is like pretend like we're an intelligence agency, right? We're headquarters, you and I, right? Anybody who's listening also, they're kind of like agents if they want to be, let's say. And so I'm a field agent. So one of the things I do is I go out into the field. In my case, it's like, let's just say Jewish events. And I report back what I see. It's not just for my own personal, Greg is annoyed or whatever, right? It's more than that. Okay. So here's what I see. Here's what I've been seeing. It's one of two scenarios, or kind of one of two groups of people. Generally, I'm just obviously there's like variations, gradations, hues, kind of like there's no like uniform not everybody's like the same in one category, or one of the two categories, but let's just speak generally. One type of event I go to is where young Jewish people are, what I call the YJP event, Young Jewish Professionals, what they call. The conversations are basically, exactly, the cat doesn't like it either. The conversations are basically like what I call NPC-ish conversation. Work, some tchotchke that was purchased for the apartment, a trip that someone recently went on. Uh,
WRCs,
WRCs, what is that?
work related conversation.
But it's work related plus. It would call it work related plus. Apartment tchotchke, trip, or selfies they took on said trip, etc. These are the conversations.
Folks, picture the beginning of Fight Club,
Yeah.
Ed Norton's life,
Yes.
the that kind of
And
thing.
but these are people in a shul, in a synagogue, right? Okay. The other side of it, the other type of event I go to is what I call the uh what word should I use for this? Mindfulness, consciousness, healing, breath work, spiritualism with Judaism, or like what I like to call, I literally, I hesitate to use the word Gnostic Judaism or New Ageism injected into Judaism, into Hasidut sometimes, God forbid. And so that's guys and girls, and which obviously involves a little bit of sprinkle of toxic positivity. And you try to have conversations about, real things, what you see around you, like reality of what you see around you. And the person breaks down like the robot from South Park, awkward, and the smoke comes out and all the rest of it. So, and this is both guys and girls. So, and if there is any kind of spiritual discussion, the person is usually like, if it's a lady, they fall into the hot crazy matrix category. And if it's a guy, it's just and by the way, there's also overlap with the people who do ayahuasca, mushrooms, and Molly and all the rest of it. So that's that, right? There's nothing in between. There's nothing in between. Almost nothing. There's a couple of people here and there, like I encounter them. These are people who become who I start communicating with, who become my friends. Unfortunately, not many of them live around where I live. Everybody's all over America, all over the world, whatever, right? So, and I'm not saying this to like only, yes, it does affect my dating life, as I mentioned before, because there are no what I call in-betweenies, or if there are, they're married long ago. But it connects to what our friend Oana wrote. So it's not too short. She wrote this the other day. If you'll permit me to read it, and then you can expound on it, and maybe somehow, maybe make connections between what we're seeing, what she wrote about, and what we're seeing in front of us, what I just described. Is there even a connection, or maybe it's just something that's
I saw your rogue, by the way. This is a continuation of your rogue.
it is a continuation of my rogue, because my rogue was what, the 40-minute one? But
Yes,
it
Greg.
but it was but it
Goddamn 40-minute rogue where I had to
but
listen to you.
listen, I that rogue, I was not even expect. First of all, I didn't even force you to watch it. I did not expect you to watch it.
I was on the
I
way home from the airport. What am I supposed to do?
I don't know. Twiddle your thumbs and listen to
The glare
Alona.
from the
Listen
sun
to
made it difficult.
you could have
The
listened to
glare from
Alona
the sun.
Nava.
The glare from the sun made it difficult for me to see my phone. So
Ah,
I was like, all right, I recognize your твою рожу.
I was talking in the dark. I was
I,
walking.
I I pressed it. I
Oh, I
pressed
was
it, and
walking
then
in the park, and there were like deer, and it was very dark.
tell the folks at home what a roja is.
Roja is a mug. Is like a is like a
Yes,
is
I
like a
recognize his mug
yeah.
kind of with my bad eyes.
Yeah, yeah,
with the glare of the sun, and
yeah.
I pressed it.
Listen, you could have watched Alona Nava talk about who's going to survive Gog and Magog. That's way more interesting than my personal laments.
There's a limit to how much aggravation I can go through,
Oh, about the Gog and Magog thing? No.
just in general, like
By the way,
yeah, Pokemon. It's pretty aggravating,
our friend Oana just posted a clip from the movie Heathers, in the 80s.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
And then
yeah.
she wrote, anyone else sick and tired of living in the movie Heathers? Sir, this is what I'm describing. She said, thread in the works, but seriously enough, this is what I'm talking about.
Bro, I just want to say, look, we can do whatever you want. You can play whatever you want.
I'm not
But
going to play anything.
let me just say, I mean, you can read what she wrote, whatever. But
I mean, it's important.
okay.
Okay.
But
What were you gonna say?
let me just say this.
Hmm.
Everything you're describing is a
Yes.
junior high school dance.
I know that, but
And everybody and
this is
you're on the
35-year-old
wall.
people.
Okay. Okay. I forget about the people. Okay. There's no such thing as a 35-year-old person. Okay. Age is just a number. What we really are is a bunch of junior high school kids at a dance. Okay. And
Yeah.
you're hanging out, you're hanging on the wall. You're looking
Yeah,
at
yeah,
like,
yeah,
I
yeah.
don't like her, I don't like her, I don't
I'm
like her.
past it though.
What?
I'm past I thought I was past the dance stuff. I'm past it.
Nobody's past the dance.
I'm definitely past it. I'm over it.
I'm trying to tell you that the entire world is a junior high school dance.
Okay.
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 And then you're supposed to pick somebody to dance with. That's who God stuck you with.
I'm trying, my friend. I'm desperately, desperately, desperately
Nah,
trying.
you're full of shit.
No, I'm not full of shit, my
You
friend.
don't care what God wants you to do. You just want, you're forcing him. It's a Mexican standoff,
No, it's not
right?
because
Where you're like, no, send me something perfect. And he's
no,
like,
I don't want perfect, my friend. I don't want perfect. In
what I mean,
fact, in
I don't mean
fact,
perfect. Oh God, I regret using some words. I should think better.
I don't even want anything close to that. I don't even want anything close to
Send me something acceptable.
not even acceptable.
All right, then just you know, what's that song? Baby, get your ass off the wall, dance. Come on, what's it? You know what I'm talking about?
Sure. Frank, sometimes I try to sing,
What's
like
that
yes,
song?
you know what I tried to do yesterday? I tried to do this morning. So I
Get your
tried to
black
do
ass off the wall.
so so in order to
That's about a junior high school dance.
Frank, the app Shazam? In order to get the app Shazam to work, you have to sing something.
I've never once got it to work.
You have, yeah, because you have to sing something that it can understand. Exactly.
Okay. Oh, it wasn't that bad. People listening this, they know what song they
Yeah.
know the song that I'm
Dude,
referring
this morning
to.
I sang a song that I was looking for, a track. I eventually ended up finding it because I
Something I
figured out
really, really want to dance,
I sang a track to Shazam and I sang it perfectly like the singers. There's like multiple singers, and it couldn't. I sang it perfectly, and it couldn't detect who it was. I ended up finding it
Well,
by
there you
myself.
go. See, but you know what song I'm talking about. You don't know what song I'm talking about?
Yes, I know. I
All
don't
right,
know
so
the name of the song.
you're being a douche to me because
No, I wasn't
I
being
don't
a
have
douche.
a good voice. Okay, so
No, it's
all right.
actually you're not so bad.
I got that song in my head now. In
Dude, you're not tone deaf. I can tell you that much. I know people who are like mamish tone deaf. You're not tone deaf.
my head now.
Listen, what I just described is not only about me, it's about my preferences or whatever, blah blah blah. It's about literally just what I'm seeing in Russian we call it община. You People are just it's either this faux spiritualism mixed with, all kinds of hallucinogenic stuff. Faux. Like it'd be one thing if people were actually looking for something in a real way, in an authentic way. Like back in the day, people were sitting around, doing LSD, this whole like 60s and 70s, and it was authentic. It was like for the most part, as far as I know. But here it's just like it's so everything is like it. I don't know. I feel like I'm living in a
Dude,
plastic world where people are just like,
authentic would give you Bride of Frankenstein hair
yeah.
and make you permanently like stutter. Okay, that's
What do
these
you
people
what do you
can't
mean by
handle anything authentic.
yeah,
Give me a break.
yeah, yeah?
Like you'll have like a
What whatever.
let's read the Owana thing.
So our friend Oana wrote this very, I mean, it's a fairly long thread on Twitter, but I'm not gonna read it too fast, but I'm gonna read it. It's not gonna take too long. Okay. Something changed in us after the lockdowns. Not just mentally, not just emotionally, deeply, spiritually. Here's what I'm seeing and why we may be living through the long echo of mass psychological programming. After the mandates, lockdowns, and messaging loops, I've been watching people, and what worries me most isn't fear, it's this. People no longer seem moved to act just because something is good, only if it's effective, impactful, or productive. Quote, these are all in quotes, quote unquote, effectful, quote impactful, quote unquote, productive, like movements. This inverts hope. Rather than hope being relational and personal, it's mechanized, institutionalized, made into something determined by a system. Václav Havel said this about hope, and she wrote this quote from Václav Havel. He ended up being the president of I guess post-communist Czech Republic. The kind of hope I often think about, especially in situations that are particularly hopeless, such as prison, I understand above all as a state of mind, not a state of the world. Either we have hope within us or we don't. It's a dimension of the soul. It's not essentially dependent on some particular observation of the world or estimate of the situation. Hope is not prognostication. It is an orientation of the spirit, an orientation of the heart. It transcends the world that is immediately experienced, and it's anchored somewhere beyond its horizons. Hope, in this deep and powerful sense, is not the same as joy that things are going well, or willingness to invest in enterprises that are obviously headed for early success. Interesting, right? Toxic positivity and or your startup, but rather an ability to work for something because it is good, not just because it stands a chance to succeed. The hope experiment is cruel inversion. The hope experiment, also called the drowning rat experiment, conducted by Kurt Richter in 1950, showed that
By the
rats
way,
play. Yeah,
what you just described,
yeah,
to do something good
yeah,
rather than just something that you could hope to, something that
yeah,
you can hope to succeed,
yeah.
is a description of the New York City mayoral race right now.
Correct.
The something good would be Sliwa.
Yeah,
Please continue.
yeah, correct. The Hope experiment, also called the drowning rat experiment, conducted by Kurt Richter in the 50s, showed that rats placed in water would drown within minutes unless they were briefly rescued and then placed back in the water. Those that had experienced rescue swam for hours longer. Often this experiment is cited as some proof of what can happen with belief. In reality, it's a cruel inversion of hope. It celebrates powerlessness and dependence on a force that reduces the human to a lab rat. Kurt Richter's so-called hope experiment is often cited as a testament to the endurance of hope. But look closer, it's something much darker. Rats were left to drown. Just before death, they were rescued, then returned to the water, and they swam longer. Why? Because they had been trained to believe rescue might come again. But there was no rescue coming. That's not hope, that's program compliance to the illusion of hope. This wasn't about resilience, it was a test of control. What Richter discovered wasn't how to inspire courage. He discovered how to condition organisms to persist under torture, not because things were good, but because they once were. Like it could be good again. He turned mammals into machines of endurance, not liberation, just like what happens under psychological re-education. You're broken, rescued, reinserted. You cling to the system not out of faith, but fear of total abandonment. Counterpoint to Havel. Havel said hope is a dimension of the soul, not a response to evidence, but an orientation toward meaning. But the hope experiment teaches a false hope that an engineered dependency on uh, a false hope and engineered dependency on external rescue. It's not I act because this is good. It's I endure because maybe if I obey, someone will pull me out again. That's not human. That's training. Now back to 2020. We're not thinking in moral terms anymore. We're calculating. Every choice has become utilitarian. Not is it true, but will it work? Not is it kind, but will it give me what I want? Václav Havel explained how a suck realist, socialist realist, or post totalitarian system operates and how the invocation of empty phrases and the dictatorship of a ritual inverts reality so that rather than a regime being served by ideology, ideology in fact rules it. This places all of us inside that brutal experiment Richter, while at Harvard, called hope. This is more than simply recent history or what some call priming or propaganda. There's much more going on here. This isn't just a philosophical shift, there's neuroscience behind it. Lockdowns, chronic fear, and social pressure change in the brain. Prefrontal cortex, morality and empathy underperforms. Stress shrinks the hippocampus. Right brain, intuition, connection is silenced. According to USA Facts, CDC data shows at least one dose, 81 to 85% of US adults, those who took fully vaccinated, this is at least two, 74% nationally. Most of these receive mRNA-based vaccines, Pfizer or Moderna. Thus, a majority of the adult U.S. population, approximately 200 million people, received at least one mRNA dose. Unbelievable. Evidence of the interhemispheric brain disruption, corpus callosum. Here is one of the clearest peer-reviewed papers showing structural and connectivity changes involving corpus callosum following mRNA vaccine administration. Reversal, this is a guy named Procaccini et al., 2022. Reversible cytotoxic lesion of the corpus callosum following SARS-CoV-2 vaccine administration, a finding to be aware of. Published in Neuroradiology Journal. It's like a special journal. Key finding, the authors report cases of cytotoxic lesions in the splenium of the corpus callosum, a region essential for communication between brain hemispheres following mRNA vaccination. These were linked to possible immune-mediated inflammation and disruption of the blood-brain barrier and described as transient but clinically significant. The corpus callosum lesion is associated with transient disconnection symptoms, confusion, speech inhibition, and memory fog, suggesting temporary interhemispheric signal disruption. This is a documented neural event that aligns with reports of brain fog, disorientation, or altered perception following vaccination. Though rare, it demonstrates a mechanism for altered interhemispheric integration. Most discussion around vaccines focuses on immune or cardiac side effects. But this paper shows that neurological structure and coordination, especially between hemispheres, left-right integration, can be temporarily impaired. This supports my thesis that we are witnessing not just psychological effect of lockdowns, but possible biocognitive disruptions to the seat of intuitive, empathic, and symbolic processing, right hemisphere, being overridden by the procedural left hemisphere caused by the mandate/mass mRNA vaccination. Post-mRNA vaccines show subtle but incredibly impactful neurological shifts. But the bigger shift was in how we relate to life itself. The repetitive messaging compounded by the aftermath altered how our brains and our hearts operate relationally as human beings, individuals, and autonomous and spiritual beings. We became procedural, optimized, performative. And now I see something worse. Even religion is being absorbed into this mindset. Faith as a brand, prayer as performance, God as algorithm. Dude, I see this all the time in people again who are whatever, becoming religious, posting this stuff on Instagram. Oh, look, whatever. It's all performative. Not all, but a lot. What we're witnessing may be the psychological fallout of what Joost Meerloo called menticide, the killing of inner voice through repetition, shame, isolation, and fear. As Havel warned, we're being trained to live within the lie.
Stop.
Yeah,
That's what this show is about,
yeah,
is to keep the inner voice alive.
correct.
That's why I need the show. That's why folks,
Yeah,
that's why we do this show every week
correct.
while still we can't
While being
really
in the
afford the
mundane crap.
time to
Yeah,
do this show.
yeah,
We're both trying to figure out how to survive financially.
yeah.
We got people, who are literally looking at us
Hello.
like, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah,
We
yeah,
try to
literally.
keep the inner voice alive.
Dude, I have a guy in my minion. Just get married.
No, I agree with him.
No, but every time I talk, no, but every time I try to talk to him about something like what we're talking about here, anything like that, that's his response to me.
No,
As if me, this is precluding me from being married.
no,
What
what
I'm
he's saying
doing.
is the things that trouble you, just get married. You won't have time to think about it.
Not
That's
even
what he's saying.
trouble me. He's no, I'm trying to talk to him about like, I don't know, we may get like attacked by orcs from the
Okay,
neighboring
so, so,
town.
so in his mind, you're saying something that you're you're not.
It's for his benefit too. It's not just for me.
He's not taking anything you're saying seriously. He's
I
looking
know.
at you
I know.
and he's saying, "Oh, this poor guy is worried about this. He's worried about that. You know, you should get married. You won't be worried about anything."
If I was married, I'd be worried even more about it because I have, and then I'd have children to defend, to
Why are
protect.
you don't don't like engage
I know.
in his mind? I'm just telling you what he's thinking.
I know. I know. I get it.
All right,
I
so
get you.
like, all right, but you should get married though, because
Yes, but
not because of him
it's not
though,
going to stop me from
not because
this.
of him.
Yes, I agree.
You get married because God is trying to
Correct.
force you to dance with the
Correct.
girls who are present at the dance at the junior high school dance,
The ones who are doing
the
ayahuasca.
proverbial universe which we
Yeah.
call the junior high school dance.
Yeah.
Okay, so you have to pick one of the girls that he stuck you with, and you don't want to do that. Moving on, get back to reading the thing where you
Okay. As Hubble warned, we're being trained to live within the lie, Frank, where inner truth is no longer the compass, compliance is. But here's the thing, you can't legislate your way back to being human. You can't optimize the soul. We're halfway there, Frank, don't worry. You have to remember who you are from the inside. I believe the only way back is through beauty, prayer, story, courage, relationship, truth, not simply facts, the kind of truth that costs something. If the brain is fractured and the heart is hardened, maybe healing starts with reclaiming our why. Not what works, but what is right. I've watched people I love become different, not just hurt or afraid, changed, apathy replacing instinct, compliance replacing conviction, as if something inside of them went numb. What we live through echoes Stalinist re-education, isolation, forced confessions, collective guilt, internalized surveillance, and Maoist cultural revolution, eraser of memory, like the memory holding all this stuff.
Can we stop for a second?
Yeah, yeah,
Because it's relevant.
yeah.
I feel like um, the entire universe is trying to do that to me, right? Even the people in my, even the people closest to me are doing it to me not on purpose, but because it was done to them, and
Like,
somehow
give me an
it's
example without giving too much away if you don't want to.
by not realizing something that they should realize and having it memory hold.
Yeah.
By the way, my brother is being memory hold.
Yeah, I know.
I realized that after this third anniversary of his passing, this is like, I think probably the last time people are gonna like, people, even the people who should be talking about him, especially on the day of his passing, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of like a brief mention.
Yeah, I know.
You notice that, right?
Dude, I think the people who are like part of the Sitrakra mentioned him more than these McCullough and Schmaccullough people. They wrote about him more, when he left us.
I'm talking about the people who
I'm saying,
I could, even the few people who I thought I could count on,
yeah,
to spend, more than, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
so he's been memory hold. And so all I want to say is this. I made a post, right?
yeah,
And this should be the biggest story in the world.
yeah.
The fact that it's not, the fact that it's being ignored, in a sense, is a memory hole.
Yeah.
It is what you just described, what Owana was writing about.
Yeah.
So I'll say here's a few simple facts, folks. Okay, and I feel like I'm not going insane, but I feel like the world is trying to make me either feel insane for talking about this or trying to make me forget, which is, so I wrote, this is the biggest story ever. And you've all heard this many times, all two of you listening. Dr. Zelenko showed us how to treat ssRNA viruses. Every viral outbreak in the media is an ssRNA virus, meaning every virus that you hear about is an ssRNA virus. Every mRNA vax that they're pushing is for ssRNA viruses. Let me say that again. Every viral outbreak that the media talks about is an ssRNA virus.
Yeah.
Every vaccine that they're pushing now is for an ssRNA virus. Dr. Zelenko taught us how to treat ssRNA viruses. So there's no way I'm the only one who has noticed this. Okay. Why am I the only one talking about it? So as long as I'm the only one who's talking about it incessantly, right? Literally everybody else, like the silence is deafening.
Yeah.
Um, Even people who, kind of like you mention it to them, they're like, yeah, they kind of just kind of like skirt over it real quick, you know.
Dude,
Um,
can I tell you something? I think to
I
get
don't understand.
yeah.
I feel alone.
I'll tell you why this is happening. Because they really, and this is something that we'll continue reading what Oana wrote. This is they really. I don't think people are realizing how much they tortured us, and how some a lot of people just, I'm telling you, dude. Remember when they wanted to bring when they found Eichmann and they brought him back to Jerusalem. And they were mamish debating whether or not to even, to have this whole public filmed trial on television and show it on television and then bring back the people to testify. Those people, I wrote, I think they made a thing on Netflix about it. Those people, when they were called, do you want to come testify against Eichmann? Like Holocaust survivors, they didn't want to. They didn't want to, bro. They're like, I want to move on with my freaking life. You ever meet somebody dude, my grandfather was not in the Holocaust, but he was a soldier in World War II. You think he spoke about to my dad about like being bombed in Stalingrad? He mentioned something he was bombed. You think he went into detail that he shot a Ukrainian guy, that he came back, that he shot the guy that was responsible for killing his first wife and pregnant, whatever, and his father? We found this out from a relative in Israel in 2010. My girlfriend didn't want to talk about that shit. It's over. It's in the past. This guy, my friend, even my friend who admitted to me that he took 3 shots and he made a mistake, another friend of mine in Israel. Oh, we have, he said to me, not dismissingly, but he just said to me, you know, we have clearly, you can see we have other things. Israelis are worried about a new thing. And COVID seems like eons ago. It literally seems like a century ago it happened. Happened yesterday. They mamish tortured us with apps and this and that and tickets and fines and I don't know, screaming and yelling and closing and whatever, pitting against each other. Who wants to? I, some way, I don't blame these people. They don't want to hear from this anymore. Отстань от меня. That's their. Leave me alone. You know, Jackie Chan, leave me alone.
Leave me alone. Yeah. Um,
Holocaust survivors, bro.
I hear you, man. But people are still getting this crap.
Correct. Correct. I know. They are. They don't even realize they're still getting this crap because there's new crap. And the media is not meaning it's already to the point where it's not endemic, but it's like it's not the same thing as it was, but it's still new crap. There's ways to treat the new crap. But again, there's so many other things going on that they're just kind of like, leave me alone. It's and this is
I
what a
don't know how
lot
to
of
proceed forward. I don't know how to proceed forward
dude, the only way to proceed forward, I will tell you how to proceed forward or just how to be, I guess.
and relate to in relating to my fellow man. I don't know how to talk to someone
They
who
might they might
don't
try.
who can't understand things.
Dude, the people who did this might try this again. And the only
They're gonna
thing
try it again. Of course
they're
they
gonna
are.
try it again. And the only thing that you have to do, the only thing that your job, the only job for you to do, the only thing for you to do is to be an outpost. And yes, it's gonna be again this similar story. You're not gonna be able to talk to people and get them to listen to you. They're gonna find that they'll come to you. They're gonna find out about you. They're gonna look up the name Zelenko because there's more people, by the way, that didn't know about your brother or the name Zelenko that found out from their relatives like me. They're gonna be like, oh, who's that Zelenko guy you told me? Yeah, yeah. They're gonna come to you. right? Anybody you talk to, anybody you initiate with, run along. Not everybody, but like I would say half the people at least. But there will be people who will come to you. That's the only thing, dude. Just be like a I don't know. You know, like a totem pole in like Alaska with hydroxychloroquine when attached to it. That's you. I'm serious. I'm not trying to, lower your stature in this world, but this is essentially what this is going to be. You know, like
Be nice
yeah,
to
yeah,
would have been nice to prevent it.
yeah, sure. Or like you ever go to skiing and then you get down to the bottom of the mountain and there's just like if anybody wants, there's like a waffle house, like a little waffle box. Like my mom, she doesn't know how to ski, so she spends the entire time in the waffle place. There's a little bench there, and she
Yeah,
just gets the waffles, and then she used to do when my sister was little. She used to wait for my sister at the bottom of the thing with waffles or pancakes. You're the waffle guy at the bottom of the hill, dude. So am I, by the way. And to compound things, people don't listen to guys who don't have any money. How's that?
yeah, I know.
They don't even listen to guys with money. Look at McCullough. Look at all these other guys who got shut down, silenced, whatever. The guys with money, they don't. The guys with money, they're like, oh, he's a grifter. It's
You know,
RFK. Oh, RFK's
oh,
a liar. He's a whatever.
I just want to say that like I've tried to cultivate my some kind of public presence, through social media, mostly X, and I've went through great effort and a lot of pain to pass every purity test,
Yeah,
to be, so that people wouldn't have to be overly challenged with
yeah,
I never sold anything. I was never selling anything. I stayed on point with the message, right? The
yeah,
only thing that probably, a lot of the people didn't like was my support for Israel,
yeah,
right? The Jewish people after October 7th.
yeah,
But I'll be honest, I don't
yeah,
like if you have a problem with me supporting Israel, I don't care if you don't listen to me about COVID.
yeah,
That's my limit. That's my limit to how much I
yeah,
can care about
yeah,
someone, right? Like you,
yeah,
you don't care about my people
yeah,
getting slaughtered, right?
yeah.
I don't care about you dying from COVID or from SSRNA
Yeah, if
viruses.
you don't care that Israel was used as an experimental case, then F you as a
Not
freaking
even that. I'm talking about October
rat.
7th.
No, no, I know. I'm
I
just
was,
saying I'm lumping all the stuff, kind of.
I'm making a distinction though. Okay.
Okay.
Um, so that's all
Yeah.
I have to say.
Yeah. All right, so I'm going to continue reading this, but yeah, I listen, I think about this a lot, it's just whatever. All right, so she continues. What we lived through echoes Stalinist re-education, isolation, forced confessions, collective guilt, internalized surveillance. And Mao's cultural revolution, erasure of memory, ritual humiliation, morality replaced by usefulness. These were not accidents of history, they were tools to erase what made people human, then rebuild them as parts of a mechanism. We see something similar now: cultural inversion, economic dependence, religious dilution. As warned by Rabbi Marvin Antelman, this three-part revolution seeks not to reform society, but to hollow it out.
I was that's probably on me. I should not have introduced her to Marvin Altman because she has
Yeah,
enough
I know.
bummers to deal with.
I know, I know.
But anyway,
Well,
continue.
let's continue. Lockdowns, mandates, slogans, these weren't just policies, they were rituals of control. Psychological conditioning, you weren't asked to understand, you were asked to repeat. And the vaccine, the masking, the mandates, discourse related to the repetitive political witch hunt ritual. Let's be honest, we don't fully know what long-term neurological or cognitive impacts may exist. We do know there's a pattern of dismissal, suppression, and shaming anyone who dares to ask. But the deeper issue isn't medical, it's moral and metaphysical. Why do people now only act as if something is effective or impactful? What happened to doing the right thing simply because it's right? This isn't science, it isn't faith, it's programming. We are living through a war on memory, not just history books, but personal memory, the part of the soul that says, I remember who I was before this. I remember what it means to be human. When that's gone, the human being becomes programmable. There is an ancient enemy that always attacked memory not through erasure but holes, not by burning books, but by burning your trust in your own recall. You're not told what to think. You're told to doubt you ever thought it in the first place. That's how you ever deal with a narcissist. They make you doubt everything you saw and you heard from them. It burns the bridges between thoughts. It doesn't erase memory. It makes memory untrustworthy. Like a prion disease, a sponge-worthy form, encephalopathy, it doesn't destroy the brain all at once. It punches tiny, almost invisible holes. And when there are enough holes, you're still thinking, but thought itself is leaking. You no longer know whether your conviction was ever yours. You no longer trust the feeling that once told you this is wrong. You still speak, but you don't remember why. This is not just metaphor, it's method. A true bioweapon doesn't explode. It dissolves identity from within. It mimics the machinery of thought while severing its soul. What is a spongiform weapon? In biology, spongiform diseases like Creutzfeldt-Jakob or mad cow disease creates voids in the brain tissue. not destruction, but absences. They leave behind a brain that looks whole, but cannot hold coherence. What if that's what's happening psychologically, spiritually? What if we're looking at a cultural prion, a mimetic disease, where fear, manipulation, and engineer crises act like pathogens of consciousness, leaving behind societies that still speak, vote, worship, but no longer remember who they are? What we're seeing isn't just psychological or neurological, it's a double assault. The body is destabilized, as shown in disruptions to brain connectivity and sensory motor emotional integration. The psyche is reprogrammed through fear, repetition, isolation, and moral inversion. Juice Mierlo warned of this exact configuration. The totalitarian slave is made not just by chains on the body, but by breaking the trust between the heart and the mind, until one cannot tell if the voice inside is theirs or the regime's. That's we talk about that all the time with Hasidus. Mind controls the heart. It's the same perversion we see when propaganda mimics poetry, rituals mimic prayer, compliance mimics conscience. In the end, the Harvard Hope experiment with rats didn't prove our strength. It exposed our vulnerability to control, to engineer memory, to betray disguise as salvation. And when memory is weak, morality collapses. You don't remember how to recognize beauty. You don't remember what love felt like unfiltered by fear. You don't remember what courage costs. That's the battlefield now.
Go back to where she said, you don't remember like four you don't remembers ago.
When memory is weak, morality collapses. You don't remember how to recognize beauty.
Yeah. That's the whole Tartaria thing, folks. If you've ever seen like, oh, this is from Tartaria and this and that, right? Like this music, this sculpture, this building, this all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
To the people posting this who are probably like little, like under 25, everything from the 80s and before that seems like Tartaria. They don't remember. Anyway, somehow it's connected to what she wrote.
Of course. Sure. This is why, man. Listen, I told you this. You know how many conversations I had with people at this event, this Shavuot event where I was DJing. I'm talking to these younger people, and just because I'm playing a track that is amazing, but it happens to be that the track was produced in 2002, it's like default not to be admitted into the, playlist. The stuff we heard was amazing, right? It was a total vibe. It was a total, like, I don't know how to explain it. Not because we're on drugs, just because it was amazing.
Yeah.
And they can't, like, it doesn't install. Something's going on with these people. I don't know. Bizarre.
It's like some kind of programming,
I know.
some kind of software installed. Yeah. It's like a gradual self-destruct.
Yeah. Dude, they're listening to dubstep and they think it's good. And there's a guy behind the DJ booth. He told me straight up, he's like, "Why do you think I go, I dance behind the DJ booth? I'm trying to rile people up." I'm like, "Bro, if your music can't naturally do that on its own, then the music, and you need to fucking dance around literally like a chimpanzee behind the DJ booth, and then people are dancing because they see your reaction. That means the stuff you're playing is shit. It's abject shit.
Yeah.
It's like South Park, Stan, he's like, with the headphones,
Yeah. Everything sounds
everything sounds like shit because it is.
yeah.
You don't need to, whatever. You don't remember what love felt like,
The
but
only the only
yeah,
dubstep track I like is the Centipede, but only in those no, but only
yeah.
hey, wait a minute. Wait a
No, I
minute.
didn't say nothing, man.
Your damn Roja said everything.
Well,
Okay.
I just
I said in the
I hear that
context
that word
of
is like
Donald Trump,
yeah,
like
yeah,
those
yeah, yeah, yeah.
stump the Trump videos from his
Yes,
first
yes, yes,
campaign. That's
yes,
all I was gonna say. See?
yeah.
See?
That word,
One
it
second.
it triggers me.
That word. That
You keep
word.
using that word. I don't think you know
Hey,
what it means.
honey. She can't hear me. I have to turn the water on for the kitty.
Oh,
One second.
all right, folks, we're gonna continue reading. We're almost done finishing this. There was about like, oh my God, this is a very long thread. How many? We're almost, yeah, 2/3 of the way there. It's okay. It's okay. We're almost done reading this thing. Oh wow, so she wrote she wrote oh okay, she had a space. Okay, fine. Okay, so we continue. Uh she gets into like Torah in a little bit. Uh yeah. So you don't remember how to recognize beauty. You don't remember what love felt like unfiltered by fear. You don't remember what courage costs. That's the battlefield now. The war on memory, Torah's hidden warning, and why it matters to everyone with a soul. In Torah, which is the five books of Moses, Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy, memory is sacred, not just a personal tool, a divine command. Zachor, remember. You'll find it echoed in the Hebrew Bible and the Christian Old Testament. And she gets into the whole. To remember is to anchor yourself to truth, to covenant, to God's moral order, to natural law, to remember what is good, to protect the sacred, to value life. To know you is essential, to not reduce his creations to simply something useful, to not build without memory, to not weep for the fallen brick in the tower while ignoring the value of a human being for the quote greater good. The ancient enemy of memory. There is a biblical enemy mentioned in both. Okay, who doesn't erase truth? He punctures it. He leaves a holes in memory. He attacks the weak and isolated. He sows doubt, disconnection, and despair, not by denying God's presence, but by making you forget he was ever there. This is not deletion, it's spiritual spongiform, a soul made porous by confusion and fear. Edward, the painting, Edward Munch, The Scream. There's a painting. You still there, Frank? No, you're back. I felt a great unending scream piercing through nature. This painting doesn't depict a scream here. I'll show people, folks at home, for those who forgot what the painting is. It's this guy. This painting doesn't depict a scream being made. It shows a world in which. What happened? Where'd it go? Okay. It shows a world in which the scream already exists and cannot be escaped, heard, and voiced. Look at the figure. No eyes, no voice, just an open mouth and silent terror. The sky bleeds, the bridge warps, and the soul dissolves. The world hasn't ended, but reality itself has been punctured. How the scream mirrors spiritual spongiform. The figure is still there, but identity has collapsed. There is no anchor to reality, even though the ground seems to melt. The scream is not just out there, it's inside, echoing through a fragmented inner world. This is what the ancient enemy does. She's talking about a Moloch. He doesn't burn the memory, he dissolves your connection to it until you no longer know if the scream came from you or the sky. In Jewish thought, this is the realm of the klipot, the husks. It's what happens when the truth is gutted and only the shell remains. The answer, Zachor, remember. We fight this not with slogans or power or even proof, but by remembering who we are, what we were made for, the covenant that holds the world forgets, when the world forgets. Because when memory is whole, the soul is connected, and a connected soul cannot be ruled. But memory must be more than personal. It must be embodied in story, in symbol, in image, in music, in architecture, in journalism. Because the war on memory isn't just internal, it's also virtual, cultural, ritual. And the enemy didn't just come for your conscience, he came for your imagination. It came to make truth unrecognizable. Enter false, quote unquote, illumination or awakening, woke, to socialist consciousness or soc reality, socialist reality. It has many names. It's very old. You've seen it, though you may not know its name. How it appears today? The dancing nurses. Dancing for party spirit in Chinese. The murals, the statues, the posters, strong bodies, clean lines, happy workers, utopian cities, cold collective symbols or destruction of the beautiful. This gentrification stuff. Socialist realism was the official art of totalitarian regimes, Soviet, Maoist, and others. Its root is in a version of socios, relation. It wasn't just style, it was strategy. Its purpose? To reshape reality by erasing the inner world, by obscuring and making the individual's relation to the outer unthinkable, a total introversion. Socialist realism declared war on ambiguity, inner struggle, the sacred, the surreal, the soul. It replaced them with a visible, usable, obedient world. A world where only the measurable could be trusted and only the collective could be loved. It was the aesthetic of spiritual conversion. Not kill the old self, but replace it. We've seen this pattern before. The Great War broke the world. The Great Leap Forward shattered tradition. The Great Reset redefines the human. Then comes the Great Narrative, the new gospel with its visual catechism. This is what good looks like, quote unquote. Socialist realism is not just art, it's a substitute religion, a gospel without God, a covenant without memory. It saves, but only if you forget who you were. Almost there. The linguistics may change, but the inversion of socios, the bonds between people, is the anchor. All critical theory is rooted in this aesthetic. Reconstruction through rupture. Theory becomes doctrine. Doctrine becomes language. Language becomes a method of control across the system. This isn't just academic, it's neurological. When language itself is recoded, the brain cannot form stable meaning across its hemispheres. Like in spongiform disease, the tissue is there, but the signal doesn't pass through. You remember the word, but you forget what it meant. Soc realism is the critical theory in form. Socialist realism and the critical theory are not opposites. They are two expressions of the same campaign, a coordinated assault on memory, conscience, and imagination. This is how the enemy advances in the war on memory through the great narrative. And this assault is both literal and figurative, equally real in symbol and speech, equally important in our defense of humanity. Soc realism reshapes what we are allowed to see, read, and watch. Critical theory reshapes what we are allowed to say, believe, and think about what we see. Together, they form the total system. Soc realism's critical theory's assault on the right hemisphere, where image, intuition, empathy, and myth live. Critical theory is soc realism rendered through the left hemisphere, where language, categorization, ideological enforcement take root. Both flatten ambiguity, both demand obedience, both redefine reality not through revelation, but through assertion, repetition, and moral coercion. The spongiform effect. This is why the war on memory feels so disorienting. It's not a clean break, not a burned book, not an explicit command to forget. It's more like spongiform disease, a condition where the form remains, but the function collapses. The word is still there, but its meaning has been inverted. The memory remains, but trust in it has been dissolved. The face is familiar, but the soul no longer connects. It's kind of like what Reformed Judaism did. They just like hollowed out. It's just everything's symbolic, everything's like ornamental. Uh, like prions in the brain, the system infects not by destroying cells, but by hollowing them, punching microscopic holes in meaning. You still think, you still speak, you still see, but you no longer know what you once knew in your bones. The cure, Zahor. What is the antidote to this? Not argument, not force, not even proof. It is Zahor. Remember. But not memory as data. Memory as covenant, as embodied truth, as relational wholeness, where soul, story, and symbol are united. Zahor is not nostalgia. It is the art of war, a return to meaning that precedes ideology. The artistic antidote, romantic surrealism, where soc realism program obedience through sanitized images and postmodern theory deconstructed art from science, science from spirit. Romantic surrealism breaks the spell. It doesn't just resist, it reunites what was divided. It fills the absence left by menticide, stitching soul, symbol, and memory back together. It reminds us of mystery, ambiguity, longing, the sacred. It doesn't explain, it haunts. It doesn't instruct, it invites. It doesn't preach, it remembers. It is not propaganda, it is prophecy. In pigment, in prose, in principle. This isn't nostalgia, it's a rebirth. Romantic surrealism isn't returning, it's reborn for a generation robbed of transcendence. Because here's the truth. Sock realism is postmodern theory in image form, not surrealism, not realism, ritualized dictatorship, not revolution, obedience, and abstraction. Postmodern art wasn't allowed to free expression. It hollowed it. Why? It was hijacked by theory, by sock realism, then fragmented, made meaningless by design. 2020 launched a great surrealist attack on multiple fronts. We lived through, we remember, we survived, and we remain. Well, some of us do. This began with a feeling that something in us had changed. The people no longer acted from truth or love or conviction, but from programming, pressure, and fear. We didn't just forget, we were taught to forget. Not all at once, but whole by whole, until memory leaked meaning, and conscience could no longer speak in its own voice. And yet we remember, through fractured dreams, through art that doesn't obey, through words we can't forget even when we're told to, through beauty that makes no sense to the system. We remember who we are, not because they let us, but because we never fully forgot. This thread was never about history. It was about return to mystery, to soul, to meaning that precedes ideology, to sacred art of war, Zahor. End. Dude, you know when I heard her say it's a romantic surrealism, all I can think of, you ever see like Kabbalah art, people's homes,
Yeah,
some of the Kabbalah artists and all that kind of thing,
yeah.
Kabbalistic art. That's what I like. Really talented. Some of these artists are like amazing. There's an artist, Nachshon something in Hebron. He passed away. Chabad artist. Amazing paintings he drew.
Yeah, there's an entire community of Kabbalistic artists in
Yeah,
Tzfat,
yeah,
if I remember
yeah,
correctly.
yeah, yeah. Baruch Nachshon. Yeah. I don't know, man. So what, you know, so in your mind, how does this connect to what I was talking about? Because I feel like it does. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Maybe people are always like this.
I feel like you're leading me like a rat through a maze.
No, I don't know.
In your
I'm
mind, everything that we
I'm
just
a, I'm
hasn't convinced.
asking. I'm asking. I don't know if what I'm seeing is what she just described.
What you're seeing existed before COVID. It
I
was
guess it, I guess
that's
it did.
part it's part of the it's part of the effect that the clippa has on the human mind in general. We've just saw it on steroids during COVID.
Yeah.
Like it could be that she
Hmm.
herself first came online in terms of this stuff with COVID, because a lot of this stuff kind of like that she's reading that she's writing, it
Yeah.
seems like it dawned on her
Yeah.
like during COVID.
Well, in a way, it's good because
And it seems
yeah,
revolutionary to her. And it is.
yeah.
At the same time, some of us have kind of been like, I don't know, like for a long
Well,
time.
well, the thing is, listen, I mean, like, some people need something, it's almost like it's opposite in order to,
Yeah.
you know, recoil from that.
I like that she's like learning Torah perspective, and she's seeing
Yeah,
how it's the best framework for to
yeah,
explain
yeah.
what we're seeing here. So
Yeah.
I find that very encouraging.
Well, also,
Um,
you saw that they closed all the shuls. There was a reason they closed they wanted us to disconnect from that.
yeah. Um, Give me a moment. I
Yeah.
want to make sure the computer isn't going to turn off.
Yes.
'Cause I'm running low. Just a second.
Sure. Well, because if you're just joining, we're just talking about this whole, I don't know, everything I'm looking at here. I mean, we're all seeing it, folks, but I'm seeing it from in a very specific way, or experiencing it in a very specific way. Uh, and our friend Luana, who lives she's also in Florida, she actually described it very, I mean, it was a long thread that I just read, but she described it very nicely, how basically, whatever stuff that I guess what 75% of Americans put in their bodies literally disconnected their consciousness from anything, real or beautiful or anything that you can categorize as life, you know?
We
Yeah.
folks, we can learn a lot from my cat Squeaky. She is the most tenacious uh creature that I have
Yeah.
ever known. She's literally
Yeah.
um, she's like the Clouseau of cats.
Yes. That's funny.
So yeah, man. I don't know. The only I can I can listen to what she said, and I can tell you how uh examples of that
Yeah.
uh through what I've seen lately through my experience,
Yeah.
which is something um it's not simple, but it's simple. You know, you try to show people something really, really big, you know,
Yeah.
like first of all, it's almost like you have to explain
Mm.
from the beginning. Like you have to, like everybody's a potato.
Yeah.
With this in this one regard, everybody's a potato.
Yeah.
I try to tell them what I said, you know, about my brother's protocol. And
Yeah.
I try to tell them about single strand RNA viruses. And I don't understand what is missing. So what I mean is like this. I assume that people understand that human life is important.
Yeah.
I assume that people by default value human life and understand that preserving it is of the utmost importance. What can be more important
Yeah.
than preserving human life?
Yeah.
I assume that people understand that when you're preventing, when you're preserving human life, you're saving lives, you're alleviating so much suffering.
Yeah.
You're alleviating families losing
Mm.
loved ones. You're alleviating daughters and sons crying and being depressed and not knowing how to continue and
Yeah.
agony. You're keeping families together. You're preventing so much damage and so much horror, and you're preserving so many uh, wonderful things that can result from the existence of people.
Frank, may I
And
interject for a
this
second?
is something I
Yeah.
let me
Yeah.
like a little bit on this.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that's been the biggest surprise to me throughout this entire experience is that it does not seem obvious even to people who seems like it should be obvious to. Like they're not like I tell them the majority of people who die from viruses
Yeah.
die from single strand RNA viruses.
Yeah.
And then there's all these people who die from the vaccines that that people take because they don't want to die from those single strand RNA viruses. And then I tell them none of that is necessary because Dr. Zelenko,
Mhm.
he gave you this. Here's an option where it's cheap and easy and safe. You don't have to risk your life with experimental vaccines, and you don't have to die from the single strand RNA virus. Um, think about, you know, like, wow, what a piece of information. You know
Frank,
what I mean? Like,
I think there's two things that happen with human beings in general, even irrespective of what was done to them, their brains during COVID. People have gotten to a point where they can't imagine that a solution to something so complex could be, this is with anything, could be so simple, right? It must be that you need like some sort of genius to create something complicated to solve a problem that is, complicated, or to solve to get an antidote for something that is itself complicated, right? Even if they believe that it was made in a lab and somebody, some
that's
genius made
not
it
what
in a
I'm
lab.
facing, Greg.
No, no,
Greg, I hear what you're saying,
I,
but what I'm saying is like this. See, that perspective I would
yeah,
respect
okay,
because the person that you're describing,
yeah,
his reaction would be, well, hold on a second.
yeah.
That's a pretty that's they would say to me, whoa, that's a pretty big statement.
Well,
All
you
right.
remember that guy that we interviewed? He's like, every single patient. Remember that guy? Everybody? He couldn't believe it.
Yeah, I remember. So no,
Yeah,
but right. So that's the kind of
yeah,
response that you would get
yeah,
if the person was at least awake.
yeah,
Like they would respond to that. See, I'm not looking for people to just believe me.
yeah,
I'm looking for people to hear what I'm saying
yeah,
and then respond to its uh, to the so I'm losing words because we do this late at night.
Yeah.
To the to the
Or the urgency of
consequences or
information.
the potential
Yeah, the
consequences of those
urgency.
words.
Yeah.
Like if I'm telling you right now, I
Yeah.
have like Greg, I found a treasure map
Yeah.
that if we find it, we're going to find King Solomon's gold mine, okay, with all the treasures of his kingdom, including his flying carpet. Now, there's only two ways to react to that if you're a living, breathing person: bullshit or let's go.
Frank, you know what the
Hold
problem is?
on.
Yeah.
Yeah, just hold on.
Yeah.
So that those are both reasonable reactions.
Yeah.
That's the reaction of a living person.
Yeah.
The bullshit is sort of like, whoa, man, you're saying some stuff that's really, the implications are pretty big. Okay. Now, every time something, usually when people say stuff like that, it always turns out to be bullshit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so therefore I'm skeptical, but man, wouldn't it be amazing if that were real? That's the skeptic who's alive, right? Who's not a
Yeah.
brain dead moron. Okay.
Yeah.
And then the other guy is like, you know, he believes me because he knows I wouldn't lie to him. He knows that I must be saying this because I've seen it for myself, because this guy knows me. Let's go find the treasure. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's the reaction I'm looking for. I'm not looking for yes men. I'm looking for people alive enough
What's been the
to
reaction that
respond
you've
to the
gotten?
implications of it if it is true.
What's been the reaction?
Nothing. Silence. People don't even connect. They don't even
I
there's
know.
something brain dead in everyone. They don't understand the level of
Who is
importance.
this? This is people you speak to in person or where?
This is it's like almost everybody. Look, everybody that I speak to when I talk about this, they usually just sit there kind of like this. The
I
reaction
know.
should be, I would accept people saying, dude, you're full of shit. I would
Yeah.
accept that because that's
Yeah.
a reasonable response. Do you understand? Like what you're saying is crazy. If that what you're saying, if it were true, then other doctors would have been coming forward and
Yeah.
doing this and that those are all reasonable responses. Those are the responses of people who are at least alive.
Yeah.
But I'm getting like, you
I know. I know.
know what I mean? Like that's what's
I know.
happening.
I know. I
I don't
know.
know what to do about that.
Can I play, Frank? I want to play for you something if you'll allow me. It's a 12-minute clip from
Delete the
CBS
earth if I could. Yeah.
from CBS 60 Minutes. You remember the whole Madoff scandal, right?
Yeah.
Bernie Madoff.
Yeah.
Bernie Madoff defrauded a number of organizations and people of a collective 60, I want to say like $70 billion total.
Greg, I was worried. I was worried you weren't going to Farrakhan
No,
in
no,
this
no, no.
episode, but
That's not, dude, that's not my purpose here. I'm trying to. There was a guy on Wall Street.
got my eye on you.
Okay. There was a guy on Wall Street, Greek guy, his name is Marco Poulos.
Yeah.
He tried to warn people. He uncovered Madoff's thing. He figured out somehow mathematically with something. And he basically uncovered that it's BS. And he uncovered it in the year 2000. You remember when Madoff's thing was finally, the whole thing collapsed, right? Right when the collapse happened, because the
Yeah.
collapse happened and people came for their money and they had no money to give them. 2008, 2009. I want to play you something. And in this thing, they asked, I want you to watch this. I want you to listen to this, really. This is, what was his first name? Harry Marco Polos. He tried to alert the SEC. Granted, the SEC is corrupt. There was reasons why they didn't, react and whatever. But I want you to listen to this anyway.
60 Minutes Rewind.
It's been 2.5 months since Bernard L. Madoff was picked up and charged with what's believed to be the largest financial fraud in history. Yet we still don't know much more about the alleged $50 billion scam than what Madoff initially told the FBI agents who arrested him. There are still no indictments as federal prosecutors continue to unravel the case and to try and figure out exactly what happened and who all was involved. But the proof that it happened can be found in the ruined lives of thousands of victims. The one person who knows the most and is willing to talk is Harry Markopolos, the man who figured out Madoff's scheme before anyone else. He sat down with us for his only television interview. Until a few months ago, Harry Markopolos was an obscure financial analyst and mildly eccentric fraud investigator from Boston, who most people would never notice on the street.
My modern Greek hero, how you doing?
But today he enjoys an almost heroic status, pursued by journalists and movie producers and honored by colleagues as the man who went to the Securities and Exchange Commission and blew the whistle on Bernie Madoff and his $50 billion fraud.
Thank you. Thank you. Please take your seats.
But he seems uncomfortable with all the attention and knows that he is no hero.
I stand before you, a $50 billion failure.
How many times did you send material to the SEC?
May 2000, October 2001, October, November, and December 2005, then again June 2007, and finally April 2008. So 5 separate SEC submissions.
And in spite of all of the things that you did, it still ended up in disaster.
There's nothing to be proud about in this case. I feel horrible about the result. It's been a total disaster for the victims.
It began a decade ago when Markopolos was working for a Boston investment firm. His boss told him that Bernard Madoff, a former chairman of the NASDAQ stock exchange, was running a huge unregistered hedge fund that was producing incredible returns. He wanted Harry to reverse engineer its trading strategy and revenue streams so that the firm could duplicate Madoff's results.
He had the patina of being a respected citizen, one of the most successful businessmen in New York, and certainly one of the most powerful men on Wall Street.
Reputable.
You would never suspect him of fraud unless you knew the math.
I mean, you're like a math guy, right?
Never suspect him of fraud unless you knew the science.
I've taken all the calculus courses from integral calculus to differential calculus, as well as linear algebra, and statistics, both normal and non-normal.
How long did it take you to figure out that there was something wrong?
It took me 5 minutes to know that it was a fraud. It took me another almost 4 hours of mathematical modeling to prove that it was a fraud.
What were the things that caught your attention?
It was the performance line. As we know, that markets go up and down, and his only went up. He had very few down months. Only 4% of the months were down months, and that would be equivalent to a baseball player in the major leagues batting .960 for a year.
Frank, you know that the only other person I know personally who had only one, no, not one, but like 2 months or like 1 month a year where he didn't make money, you're looking at him. And I did this for 8 years.
Clearly impossible. You would suspect cheating immediately.
Maybe he was just good.
I didn't cheat.
No one's that good.
Harry said there were only 2 plausible explanations. Either Madoff was using insider information to rack up huge profits, or he was running a giant Ponzi scheme. So either way, he was doing something illegal.
Either way, I knew he was going to go to prison.
In May of 2000, Markopolos took his suspicions about Bernie Madoff to the Boston office of the Securities and Exchange Commission. Did you have any financial motive?
Yes. He was a competitor of mine in 2000 to 2004 while I was still in the industry. And when someone's competing on your playing field, who's a dirty player, you want him tossed off the field.
He also thought he might be eligible for a sizable reward if the fraud involved insider trading, but that turned out not to be the case. In your first letter to the SEC back in 2000, you're a little tentative. You say, look, I have no smoking gun.
In 2000, it was more theoretical. In 2001, it was a little bit more real. By 2005, I had 29 red flags that you just couldn't miss on. By 2005, the degree of certainty was approaching 100%.
If you're a man who makes at least 150 grand a
I get it. We don't need to continue.
No, just I want him to get to the part where
Regulations.
you know,
Markopolos concluded that for Madoff to execute
how
the
this
trading
happened.
strategy he said he was using, he would have had to buy more options on the Chicago Options Exchange than actually existed. Yet he says no one he spoke to there remembered making a single trade with Bernie Madoff's fund.
I would talk to the people I had trading relationships with and ask, did you have a trading relationship with Mr. Bernard Madoff? And they all said, no, we don't think he's for real.
Could you find anybody?
I found no one that ever traded with Mr. Madoff, and I traded with the largest equity derivatives firms in the world.
And that's because Madoff's investment fund never actually made any trades, at least going back to 1993 and probably further. A fact confirmed last week at a meeting of Madoff investors by the trustee charged with liquidating his assets. No one knew the depth of the fraud, but a lot of people had questions.
Who else figured this out besides you?
I would say that hundreds of people suspected something was amiss with the Madoff operation. If you look at who the victims were not, you'll notice that the major firms on Wall Street had no money with Mr. Madoff.
I mean, you write this is the letter, I'm quoting from the letter to the Securities and Exchange Commission, red flag number 20. Madoff is suspected of being a fraud by some of the world's largest, most sophisticated financial services firms. And then you list some of the firms.
Yes, I do.
The biggest firms on Wall Street, and conversations with people high up in those firms.
That is correct. And the SEC ignored that.
Did they call any of these people?
All the SEC had to do was pick up the phone. They never did.
If you had executives at the biggest investment houses in Wall Street that knew something was wrong, why do you think they didn't go to the SEC?
Because people in glass houses don't throw stones, and self-regulation on Wall Street doesn't work.
In January 2006,
Frank, do you know why they didn't report him? I'll tell you why. Besides the glass houses thing explanation, what he said. If you're still here.
I'm here, man. What's up?
And this, by the way, connects to why when this whole Pfizer thing rolled out, why I was. It's almost like I was programmed not to take it. I'll tell you why. Because most people forget that. You need to go do something, or
I'm listening. I just need to grab something. I can hear you.
most people forget that Bernie Madoff was actually the pioneer of electronic trading. He was the person who basically took Wall Street or NASDAQ itself from manual floor trading to high-speed electronic trading. So he was quote unquote a reputable person. Does it remind you of somebody who was around for a long time in the medical, well, whatever, supposedly, right?
He's the Fauci of the financial world.
Correct. Except this guy actually did something useful, right? So, I can imagine somebody came to some guy in SEC or somebody, oh my God, you want me to like destroy the confidence in the entire like infrastructure of the market? Forget about the market itself, the infrastructure, the underpinning, the bones of it. This is Bernie Madoff. Dude, when I started trading, I think I mentioned this, there was a couple of guys who ended up going to, it was considered more prestigious, quote unquote, for a day trader to be hired by Madoff Securities than by, like, say, Goldman Sachs or any other firm. And there was like an air of mystique. If you went on the website, there was a website. I'm trying to find it in what's called the Wayback Machine. Literally just a black front page, black, and then like a cursive, Madoff in cursive. That was his logo. Dude, Madoff was one of the most, like when I was trading and I saw it on my, what's called level 2. It's called open book, the prices. You saw market makers. So you saw like, Merrill Lynch, you saw MLCO, which is Merrill Lynch, GS Co, Goldman Sachs, and then you said MADF. So Madoff, that was a signal to like, that's either where you buy or you sell, because you knew Madoff, they had, this is the sad part, they had a whole operation. Just like Pfizer has a whole legit operation. All these companies have entire legit operations. Madoff had a whole legit, market making, I don't know, trading, investing. He did. They had it. The lipstick building, besides the 17th floor in the lipstick building, which was the floor where they printed out those fake reports to send to people, where, by the way, Azaria, Frank Azaria, Hank Azaria, who's the actor, the guy, he played in the movie about Madoff. He played the guy who was in charge of that printer. When they caught everybody, they caught him doing the stuff with the printer. He was the one mailing all these like manual reports to all these like old people in West Palm Beach, who were investing with him. Well, like rich Jews, whatever. And the country clubs. But he had a whole, but the other 16 floors are legitimate business. And so what? We're going to report the guy that founded this? We're going to report the guy that founded, the NIH guy or whatever. That's how I knew.
I know he didn't only rip off Jews, but it seems like it was mostly Jews that he ripped off.
Birthright, Steven Spielberg, like who had his own like fund or whatever, personal stuff. Elie Wiesel's foundation. Not Birthright. When I say Birthright, I'm talking about Taglit. This whole umbrella organization. They had like funding for the Israel trips. What's his name? Michael Steinhardt. Dude, this whole Jewish country club in West Palm, like it really people had to do like, some serious, literally tzedakah raising right after that.
There's like Hebrew day schools that lost all their money.
Yeah, dude, to recoup all that money. I mean, it was Baruch Hashem. You saw how the Jewish community actually came together at that time. I remember I was going to Rage classes. Rabbi Katzin was talking a lot about it, actually, and he was giving lectures about it, and it was a big topic, with Torah stuff relating it to Torah and everything. And the Jewish world came together to recoup. I mean, I don't know if they recouped $70 billion, but they recouped a lot, at least enough to have continued programming for everybody. It was a big like wake up call for everybody. So when COVID happened, I was like, wait a minute, I know somebody that was reputable, had a whole reputable thing, but then they did like some fraud, and then everybody tried to warn the guy, about the guy, the authorities, and it took about 8 years, man. It took about 8 flipping years. It took a caca. It took the whole thing to caca to uncover the smaller caca, which, by the way, the bailout of the caca was like 10 times what this guy, lost. He lost about 70. They bailed. Well, the bailout was like 700 billion. I mean, so I feel like they're going to try this again, and it's, it might be a bigger caca. And then, listen, I hope before they try it, or as they're trying it, I hope that, whether it's RFK or someone else, I really hope something comes out. Stuff's already coming out. We see it coming out. Studies and admissions, and FDA admitted something recently. They put stuff, labels on stuff recently. I don't know how much that helps. I don't know how much that wakes people up, if at all. But
the reason why they're going to do it again, and the reason why they keep using single-strand RNA viruses is because they know that most people don't know about my brother's protocol.
Yeah.
But they know about my brother's protocol, so they can keep themselves alive while killing everyone else.
Yeah.
That's why they keep using single-strand RNA viruses.
Because they don't have a solution for
not
anything
every
else.
virus, not everything that they can spread can they protect themselves against.
Correct. Yeah, they're not gonna sit in biodomes as some like weird alien virus they have no cure for, comes running after them. Yeah. So yeah, man, there's a life cycle for these like what I call Chicken Little situations, Some longer, some shorter, I think you and I, and maybe even our friend Eric, are hoping that like, the Pleiadians arrive.
That's exactly what I was just thinking. The Pleiadians, the Marshmallow Man, whatever.
Yeah. Not reptilian. Yeah, what are they? No, the 4 species that they.
By the way, notice everybody's talking about the Nordics.
Yeah, the Nordics.
In this week's UFO narrative, right?
Yeah.
People are talking about, Nordic, like
because
Richard Dolan, who's an OG historian.
Well, because they want hot blonde chicks, That's what they keep posting these AI pictures of the hot blondes.
Yeah.
And my Yemenite friend is waiting for them,
It's almost like, all right, guys, if you guys can control the way you appear when you come down, you might as well look like this, right?
Exactly. Might as well look like, whatever, models. It's all good. Oh, you're saying they morph? Is that the thing?
No, you have, look, you have people saying there's various species. Then you have people saying everything that we see is the way they present themselves to us. So we,
Yeah. Ah,
we don't really know if that's what they look like.
yeah,
You have this entire fauna
yeah,
or spectrum of
yeah.
possibilities. I
Sure.
don't know. I'm not subscribed to any of it.
Yeah,
I'm just telling you what's being said.
yeah.
Okay. There's some interesting stuff this week. I bookmarked some of it.
Hmm.
We can go through the bookmarks. We can talk about it later when we're done with this topic, unless we're done with this topic.
I mean, I just wanted to ask you, really, at the very least, because here's the thing, man. The second group that I described, all the people with the healing, all,
Yeah.
whatever, spiritualism and Gnostic Judaism and all that stuff, I'll give them credit. A lot of those people did not take the crap, did not object themselves. I don't know what the percentage is, but I would say that it's like a good, at least 50% did not. The first group, a lot of them work in the corporate world, and they did. And they're not even going to talk about it. Again, it's like the people you call to bring, to the Eichmann trial. Forget it. So I'm wondering, are these conversations, these banal conversations, a result of that, or just that they're just banal conversations that's the way people are, and there's, they just been always, like you said, they've always been like this. They just got worse.
I think it got
Maybe
worse.
it's true.
I think it got worse because when you do something like that, when you compromise yourself in such a way,
Yeah.
you want to run away from that, right? So that reality is lodged in the same part of your brain where important, profound things are.
Yeah.
It's a blockage towards that.
Yeah.
If you want to go and speak about meaningful things with someone, that area of their consciousness is lodged. It's right next to that that bad decision that they made that they don't want to face. You say, like, if the conversations that you're longing to have, right?
Yeah.
The part of the brain or the soul, corresponding features of the soul,
Yeah.
where all of that is located, that stuff that you want to talk about, is right near that part. It's right next to the reminder of, oh, remember that time you threw your entire life away because you wanted to go on a vacation package, or because you were scared to possibly look for a new job.
Yeah.
I'm talking
Yeah.
about people who made the decision to
Yeah.
vax.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So they compromise themselves on such a level that part
Yeah.
of that decision, that
They're gonna have to lump that conversation in with these other things.
it's right next to that.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
filed away.
Yeah.
Like if there was a bookshelf or like
Yeah.
a hard drive,
Yeah.
that file is right next to that file
Yeah.
where they compromised and threw away their lives. They prostituted themselves
Yeah.
for a short-term fix.
Yeah.
And now they realize the profound mistake that they've made. And so they don't want to remember that. But so now, because they don't want to remember that, they're ignoring all that other good stuff that's right next to it. So all you're left with is NPC.
So I know people that have actually compartmentalized the good stuff and that thing.
There is a way. Some people are good at horse blinders. Like for instance, like if you have a phobia, let's say, right? And unfortunately, you're stuck in an environment where you have to like see that thing that you're afraid of. Let's say you don't like snakes or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So if you're in the tropics, you'll see the occasional snake, but you have to compartmentalize that somehow in order to function.
Yeah.
Okay, there's different ways. So some people are better at that. Some people are not so good at it. Some people shut down entirely. Some people move away. You know what I mean? Some people don't go anywhere near. There's different methods. So obviously not everybody's the same. But generally speaking, generally speaking, there's some horse blinders going on, and that horse blinder is going to obstruct the view of some stuff.
Yeah.
Even if they can pull out the occasional nugget, something good, they don't really have access to all that good stuff because that good stuff is right next to the accountability.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about, I have my own version of that. Like I have,
For sure.
the reason I understand this so well is because I have my own stuff.
Yeah.
Not with the COVID vaccine, but I've done that many, many times with a lot of other important things, a lot of other stuff. You know what I mean? Like I can't, like how I am with like administrative rigmarole,
Yeah.
that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
I'll do almost anything to avoid discussions about it, engaging in it.
Yeah.
I would hire you to handle it for me.
Yeah.
By the way, remember that thing I asked you about the insurances?
I'm still happy to do it.
I've been going back and forth with two people,
Uh-huh.
and there's a young lady who
Huh.
my wife knows who has done it already several times, who she worked with. So she
Okay.
contacted her.
Hmm.
Sorry, I wasn't the only one
Yeah.
who had the decision.
Oh, okay.
So I've been meaning to tell you that. I thought it was a good
Yeah.
opportunity because
Yes.
I'm scatterbrained and I might forget to tell you, so I'll tell you live
Yeah.
in front of our studio audience.
Frank was supposed to pay me money, and now I'm not going to get any money from him. It's okay. It's fine.
I was
It's all good.
so
I'm just kidding.
desperate
I don't care.
to get my wife's new practice signed up for insurances that I was going to hire Greg to do it. But since I'm not the only one who makes that decision, and there's also my wife, and then there's our partner.
Yeah. It's also better to hire when it's something like this. That's why I was trying to tell you, it's better to hire a person not only who knows how to fill out forms, but they know the nomenclature and the terminology of that world.
Yeah.
Because if you want to be on the safe side, like, listen, dude, I could probably sit and research and this and that and figure this out and figure that. What I was trying to tell you, it's not that I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to screw it up because this is your livelihood, and I'd rather you hire. It's like I look at jobs of like medical biller. Dude, you need to know what all these HMO crap and all this stuff. It's like,
The decision to hire her
Yeah.
was done the day before yesterday. So that's why I'm telling you, it wasn't
Yeah.
like,
yeah, I get you.
I just,
Yeah.
it's a new thing now.
Yeah. So I just FYI, I for sure was not trying to like wiggle out of it before. When you first asked me, you were like, Greg, this and that. I was like,
Oh,
dude,
really? Does it kind of seem like that?
no,
Greg?
I didn't. I literally was telling you, I'm like, no, because I was trying to explain, and you're like, no, this doesn't take anything. It's just a form. I can't see. You just have to see. You have to read. But I'm like, dude, this is medical stuff. Trust me. There's so much they can, not only that a person can screw up, even a person who knows, there's so much they can F you for, these medical insurances and all this stuff. The system, dude, I listen to my mom go to war with these companies every at least once a week over all my father's stuff. Part B, Part Z, Part Q, Part F, Part 9, Dude, they purposely made it this way. Obama purposely made it this way, and it's about to collapse. And he purposely made it so that when it collapses, that it's going to be a horror show. He purposely made it bad, and then he purposely made it, in case anybody tries to unravel it, that when they do dismantle it, it's going to be bad. The ramifications of it will, because so many people are dependent on it, especially these illegals, and now there's going to be people on the streets. And it's true, there will be people on the streets because whatever. So, that was my thinking.
Yeah, I agreed with you. I just didn't know.
Yeah.
I didn't have any other options.
Yeah.
And I know that you have this consulting service.
Yeah.
Where when people really need,
Yeah.
whatever, you're capable of figuring things out.
Yes.
I think one of the main issues why I have such stress when it comes to bureaucratic administrative rigmarole is because of my eyes.
Yeah.
That's actually not one of the reasons. That's the primary reason, because I have difficulty. Like, it takes me a lot of effort to kind of put my eyes on a certain place on a paper, right, and keep them focused and go. It's not so easy for me to read, actually, folks, because
Yeah.
I have various whatever conditions and stuff like that
Yeah.
with my eyes. Okay, so
Yeah.
and I don't like. I like efficiency in
Yeah.
communication,
Yes.
and all of this bureaucratic stuff is the exact opposite of that. It's
Yeah.
there to drive a person like me
Yeah.
insane.
Yeah.
Entire field, industries were created just to navigate that kind of bureaucratic paperwork.
Correct.
Like accountants and lawyers, they
Yeah.
went to school, they got education, they took out loans in order to learn how to navigate this Klingon, this unnecessary language.
Yeah.
Right? Because regular people can't deal with it, especially people like me. Literally can't. Literally can't. Okay. So,
Yeah. Correct.
Okay. So, but that was really a side point. The point is that because of my own issues, okay,
Yeah.
I know what it's like to kind of try to like not,
file away
something.
things. Yeah.
But when you run away from something, you're running away from everything it's next to.
Correct.
And there's a lot of good stuff there.
Correct.
Perhaps your soul is there next to that bureaucratic rigmarole that you're trying to avoid.
Correct.
So that's my struggle.
Yeah.
Everybody else effed up with the vaccine, and that's what they're dealing with. That's what is going on.
Yeah.
Okay. There, I Jordan Peterson you.
Listen, you Jordan Peterson, everybody else. Like, it's funny. I finally managed to convince, can I read something to you where finally, my mom, for the longest time, my parents, both my parents really, and a lot of people I knew, they were coveting, the whole thing of Ivy League this and Ivy League that and blah, blah, blah. October 7th happened. My immediate family members finally understood that you can take your Ivy League and literally put it in the bathroom for the next time numero dos. Okay. Can I read something that was written by a Russian-speaking lady who lives in Israel? It's something that's been going around, and I want to read it in English. She wrote it in Russian originally, but there's a translation that I did, an automatic translation, to do with what happened.
Yeah.
So there's a lady.
Before you continue,
yeah,
this whole Ivy League thing, right? This is I love Trump. This is one of the things that pisses me off about him.
Okay.
I was also kind of like upset. I was always a horrible student. Not a stupid kid, just a bad student.
Yeah.
And I was kind of jealous of people who succeeded in school and got into Ivy League. People like my brother.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. My brother, he didn't get into Ivy League. He was he was waitlisted for Yale.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
For Yale Medical School.
That's cool. I mean,
but he got he got affirmative action out of that, and ended up in Buffalo, which is fine.
He got like a full ride to Buffalo, right, or something like that.
I think he got a full scholarship to Buffalo. Yeah, if I'm not mistaken. Okay.
Yeah.
But anyway, the point is, I was always kind of, but what we've learned recently, I'd say in the last 15 years, what I've learned about these institutions, I'm grateful that I was not.
I know, same.
It was, wow, I dodged that bullet.
Listen, I was always grateful, even way before all this stuff. I was always grateful. And when I saw a friend of mine go to NYU and then they brainwashed him, this is like the year 98 with all this Malcolm X stuff and all this stuff that we're seeing today. And then I actually debugged him. I literally de-brainwashed him to the point where he was he started listening to like Michael Savage and Mark Levin.
Yeah.
I took a whole year to like debug the guy, Crazy.
Savage is a whatever, but
whatever.
Listen, the point I'd like to make is that these institutions, right?
Yeah.
The New York Times, Ivy League schools, this kind of the Republican Party, all this kind of stuff. These are things that should die.
Yeah, they should die.
New things, better things,
Yeah.
more legit institutions should pop up in their place,
Yeah.
and just let him die. Trump doesn't want to let him die.
I think he wants
He
to
wants to save it.
he wants to see if he can reform them because there's still, there's still, you have like what's called the STEM, the science and math and all that stuff, which is very, very quality over there. So he doesn't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater. I guess that's what he wants to do.
No, no, I
Dude,
think
his
he
son
likes
goes to NYU.
prestige.
You know that, right? He likes prestige. His son goes to NYU, business, I guess. I think the school. What's his name? Barron. Like, oh, he wants to save these things, and
It's like Moshe Rabbeinu
yeah,
with the Erev Rav.
yeah, exactly. Yeah,
He shouldn't have, folks. If you don't know what we're talking about, we
yeah,
have a tradition where when Moses was leading the Israelites out of Israel, all of his Egyptian buddies,
yeah,
right, the Egyptian priesthood who saw the
yeah,
writing on the wall and they
yeah,
saw where it was at, they saw who the winner was. They wanted to go along with Moses.
yeah.
And they weren't just opportunists. These are people who were already kind of, they liked the teachings of Joseph, and they kind
Yeah.
of like
Yeah,
whispered it to each other in the
yeah,
halls of power.
yeah,
It was controversial, but they were more oriented, they were more open. They were already open to these ideas,
yeah.
but they still weren't like, you know,
They weren't developed enough.
right. They were like Bill Maher.
Yeah.
They had moments of clarity, but they're still going to vote
Yeah.
Democrat.
Yeah. Or whatever.
That's
Smoke
what
weed and
that's
sit
what
and
these Egyptians were.
talk nonsense. Yeah.
So Moses saw some potential in them, right? So some
Yeah.
goodness in them, and he's like, okay, fine, let them join. Let them join the Jewish people. And God's like, I'm not gonna. God said to him, "This is our tradition, folks." God said to him, "The mixed multitude, which are these Egyptians that we're talking about, I'm not gonna stop you, but I don't. I recommend you not invite them. You not take them along. Let them leave them behind."
Yeah.
And Moses didn't listen to that advice
Yeah.
and decided to take, which is a very mysterious. That story really doesn't make sense. What do you mean Moses didn't take God's advice? And
Yeah.
and then why was God offering advice and leaving options open?
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, it's probably more God's fault because if God, Moses is used to being commanded by God. And if
Well,
God says, I'm not going to command you to, but my recommend,
yeah, but there's always the free
it
will
makes Moses
department.
wonder, does
Yeah,
God
but
really want me to take them? But he just doesn't, he feels like it's too much of a responsibility for me because it's going to be a big headache. Well, I want to serve God, so I'll do it. I don't know how nice God is for not wanting to
well,
push
again,
me into such a thing.
but
I'll take them along,
but
like,
Moses would be again, we'll go back to the person would be a robot because it goes back to the free will department.
no, but certain things
You know what I mean?
he didn't allow for free will, right? He told,
Correct. Like the rock, like in
yeah.
this week's parsha, he told him speak,
And the Lord spoke to Moses saying, command the people to do this, command the people to do
speak to
that,
the
right?
rock, and then he hit the rock, and that's why he didn't go to Israel.
Right.
Like this week's parsha. Yeah.
Okay, so when it comes to the Erev, Moses could be excused for thinking that God wanted him to do it. It just didn't want to. God didn't want to push him into doing that, and because whatever, it's a complex thing. But the point
Yeah.
is that it's kind of like with Trump and all these institutions that should just die.
Yeah.
Okay, because they're really just dragging everybody down, and they're always
Yeah.
going to betray him.
Yeah.
Right? Like, why is he trying to save this crap?
Dude, you know what your rant, not your rant, but your thing about these institutions reminds me of? Do you remember the song Brooklyn Funk Essentials?
I don't think so.
Okay, there's a song called by this group called Brooklyn Funk Essentials called I Got Cash. Okay. I wanna play. There's a certain part where I want to play. Okay. Listen, hold on a second. Hopefully, oh, here you go.
fashionable to have an alternative.
Okay, hold on 1 second.
Low cholesterol, naturally. Fuck your big old Sunday New York Times. Fuck the Wall Street Journal.
He goes, F your big old Sunday New York Times, F the Wall Street Journal, and Newsweek, and the lot, including Nation, Village Voice, Guardian, and the rest. Stupid set of privileged MFers. I think it's fashionable to have an alternative, they think it's fashionable to have an alternative view. An alternative view. And blank if you can, your pencil-thin, Avion drinking, calorie counting, caffeine limiting, sodium spearing, NutraSweet sweetening, rear view mirror preening, carrot nibbling bunny. Go drown in a lake of Diet Coke. I got cash. What else matters? And then he's like, blank your fencing and screw your squash, piss on your Paolo and your Pavarotti, blank all that stuff you call music and pretend to enjoy. I got cash, mega cash. I'm happy with that. And go sit in your ski rug. Money talks. Little whatever. Your ideal of multiculturalism, Japanese restaurant on a Monday, Indian on a Tuesday, and on Wednesday Caribbean. Not too spicy, please. Well, I got a stash on stash and it ain't Novo cash. Money's in my family for generations. My great-great-great-grandfather made the bag selling European slaves in Africa because the guy's black. I got cash, mother something, and you can't tell whether I'm joking or not, can you? Dumb F. She's basically saying, like, F all these institutions, I got cash.
Well, that's nothing like what I was saying.
I know, it just reminded me.
But, just on a very shallow
Yes.
external level.
Yes.
But I'm saying we're both saying F those institutions, but
Yes.
my reason's legitimate. His reasons are animalistic and
Yes.
savage and disgusting.
Yes.
And I'm glad I never heard that song, Greg. I'm glad.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. All right. I sounded like Eddie Murphy's dad there for a second.
Yes. Yeah, what did he say?
I'll kick the dog, Eddie.
You know what it is? I kick it with all that I got, Eddie. When you're not looking, you know what I do, Eddie? You know what I do? I kick the mother with all that I got. That's not a coaster, it's a piece of shit. I put my drink on top of it, Eddie. Can we play this with folks?
I know you're 7, Eddie. I know
you're 7, but you're a 7-year-old no house hound motherfucker. Stop crying. Here, this is dog. This is his father talking about here you go. Talking about how Eddie Murphy doesn't take care of the dog and he lets the dog poop everywhere. He doesn't feed him and walk him or anything.
Eddie, get that motherfucking dog away from my plate. I'm gonna shoot this dog. I'm gonna shoot the mother. Shut up. I'm gonna shoot it. Stop crying. Stop crying, Eddie, because you can get the fuck out. You can get the fuck. I know you're 7. I know you're 7. But you'll be a 7-year-old walking the dog, no house motherfucker. You know it? You know what it is? Because it's mine, motherfucker. I hate this motherfucking dog. Because you answer for the dog, you don't spend time with the dog, Eddie. You don't feed the motherfucker. You don't pet it. You don't even know what the fuck the dog's name is anymore, do you? The dog don't give a fuck. He don't know his name. The dog is 3 years old, don't know his name.
Coco.
Watch this. Coco. Where the fuck is it going? The dog's stupid because you don't spend time with the motherfucker. And I'm supposed to work hard all day and come home and feed a motherfucking dog? Fuck no, I'm not feeding the motherfucker. You know what I do? When nobody's home, nobody's home, you know what I do? I go up to the dog and I kick the motherfucker. I kick the motherfucker with everything I got, Eddie. And then I giggle my motherfucking ass off. Because I hate the motherfucker. Because you don't clean up behind it. Why can't you clean up the motherfucking... This ain't Scooby-Doo, motherfucker. Why can't you clean the dog? The dog shits all over the house. If no one tells you, Eddie, you don't clean the shit. You let the shit stay forever. It's shit that's been in the den for 6 months, Eddie. It's been in the den for 6 months. Your kids go past it, you act like you don't see it. And unless you're told, you won't clean the shit. The shit is hard as a rock now. It's like motherfucking furniture in there. I went in last week to watch the fights. I said, fuck it, I put my drink on top of it, Eddie. It's a coffee table now. Why can't you clean up shit? My friends come over and say, oh, that's lovely. I said, that's not lovely, it's a piece of shit. Because my children don't listen.
Folks, that's Eddie
Sorry.
Murphy's drunk dad.
Yeah. Actually stepfather. I don't think he even knew his real dad. Yeah.
He says, if he doesn't make that distinction, I'm not going to do it.
Yeah. You want to see the thing where he talks about Italians after they saw Rocky, the movie Rocky?
It's a lot of cursing, right? You know,
I know. Hey, freaking mooly.
You like it's a great movie.
Yeah.
Rocco.
Oh, dude, can we show? I want to show the folks at home what we grew up with this guy.
Move.
With the guy that's here. This guy.
Like, go get in your IROC Z.
Yeah. So folks, this is actually literally not only who we grew up with, but actually he's depicting the places where at least I used to go. You also probably went over there.
Obviously, bro. Why you gotta be like that?
No, because I remember you telling
me
that
dude, I'm way more Guido than you. You're basically a Ruski.
No, what I'm talking about is the specific here. This guy's name is Salzo Comedy on Instagram. Salzo. So he depicts all these here. The door guy at Roxy, douchebag. Oh my god, mixed nightclub Borgata, Atlantic City, circa 2005.
Not happening. Yeah,
douchebag door guy.
Not happening. Yeah, right.
He has like every. Oh, this is hilarious. This is like very specific, like here.
Yeah.
This is the doorman at Roxy nightclub in 2002 in New York. This actually, like, we experienced this here.
So get your IDs out. This isn't you. You're not on the list. You're lost. Not happening. Horrible haircut. Nope. Got 4 guys. It's not a gay club. I'll fight anyone on this line. No Von Dutch hats. No diesel sneakers, asshole. You need a collared shirt. It's a terrible outfit. You're on the guest list? Name's not on the list. Get the fuck out of here. I don't care who your father is. One line, ID's out. No more guys, only girls. Ladies, you can't come in here with a skirt. No flats. What's up, girl?
No flats.
Fellas, I don't care if you know the DJ. Alright, we're at full capacity. Everybody get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, there's another one. This is like more guys who used to go to clubs in 2003. Look at his douchebag face. He makes like a douchebag face.
Yeah.
Take a little higher. I'm thinking too. Tell me what you're feeling.
I literally had that jacket.
Yeah. Look at it.
I met my wife wearing that Armani Exchange motorcycle jacket. Holy crap, that's crazy.
Dude, can I tell you something? You could just stand. I've done this, like stand and make eye contact with a girl just from like 20 feet away. And there's like good music playing. You don't have to have you can have like minimal conversation.
Yeah, you didn't even have to know how to dance.
You don't have to know how to dance. You don't have to be like a pickup artist. I luckily, thank God, I could dance a little bit, whatever. But what's his name is really good. Alpin and the other guy, Eugene. He was pretty good too.
Streaks.
Yeah, Streaks pretty good dancing.
That's esoteric. That's a very esoteric.
It's our friend. It's our friend.
Yeah.
Here. This is a thing. Staten Island guy getting a letter from his girlfriend in 1991. Freestyle music.
her on a phone, right?
Hello.
I just can't believe the letters I sent you. You don't know how hard I tried. Throw my pride aside and I can't deny. Cause every night I write without fail. And your pops just diss my mail. But if ever this letter should be your doors, you'll find it signed, sealed with yours.
Dude, but can I tell you something? That's when people were falling in love.
Can you play Spring Love?
Yeah, yeah.
Folks, this is what we had. This is what we had. A simple little pop song.
Dude,
sounds like Chopin.
My
compared
first
to-
girlfriend in Russian Jewish girl in Brooklyn in 1998 summer, yeah, after high school.
Bro, listen, folks, why am I telling you this? Because, as Guido culture, right, is not known to be the most intellectual of all culture. Okay. We're not, we don't got a lot of book learning going on, right? But we're regular people with emotion. Just listen to the kind of emotion that could be expressed by Guidos in Tartaria. Okay.
Yes, yeah. We should use this as the intro.
Yeah, why not?
Got the car and everything. He's also in Miami.
Yeah. Those are Cuban Guidos.
Yeah.
I remember when we first started. You came to me and you were broken hearted. I took you in and wiped all your tears away. I gave you loving more than any other gave. Don't you know I'm the one and I love you, girl. I don't care what they say. You know you are my world. Come back home to the one who loves you more and more. So you see that it was me you were searching for. You're searching for. Baby, come back to me. Come back to me.
Okay, that's enough.
Dude, do you know what these songs like this taught us?
Bro,
How
Cuban
to
Little Richard, Cuban
long-
heterosexual Little Richard was profoundly deep, and he created such a beautiful chorus.
Yeah.
Dude, this song was the anthem of like every romantic
of our longing for some girl that we may or may not even like meet or talk to, or I don't know, somebody in our class that we like were, I don't know, afraid to
Spring
talk to
love,
her.
come back
yeah.
to me.
Yeah.
No booty shaking hose.
Dude, there's no
Regular
more
people.
there's no more love. There's no more longing for even infatuation. There's
Fucking
none
demons.
yeah, there's
Dude,
none of
demons
that. Yeah.
run the music industry.
Yeah. There's none of that. There's no more. It's over. Dude, there's like a track of a dude. Like today, if somebody even read the lyrics of this track today, you know what they would call the guy? Oh, he's a simp.
They call him Tchaikovsky.
No,
was this written by,
yeah.
Was this written by? These lyrics were written by Lord Byron himself.
Dude, remember the song Timmy T, One More Try?
Yeah, please.
Dude. Yeah. Pardon my language, Yao
I
when I first heard
I feel
this.
like Guidos don't get the credit deserved.
Yeah.
Oh, Tinny T.
Yeah.
This is one of
Look
my friends'
look how many,
wives.
dude, this is like
Single
not even
guy.
like a Vivo account. Look how many plays this has. 10 million. Look at this. Many people, I want to read the comments. Many people have shed tears when the song hit home. Pure innocent love of the 90s. No social media garbage, no apps. Back then, everything was real. Damn, this song made me cry in the 90s. Here I am, 42 years of age, and still got me in tears. Timeless music. Timmy T recorded this on an 808 drum machine that he bought at a garage sale, and he sent out the tape to every local radio station in his hometown on the West Coast. The DJ played it, and the rest is history. I wish to go back in time. Everything was more pure. Love people, family. Love is beautiful.
Wait,
It's
which song is this?
This is one more try. One more
Oh,
try. I didn't
I actually
know
don't
much
like this
about.
song, but I get it. I get it.
It's yeah. Living on is not, you know that song. Part of the problem of the world today is there aren't any songs like this anymore. Songs professing the most powerful force in the universe, love. What a great year, 1990. I remember listening to the song on repeat while playing The Legend of Zelda for countless hours. Life was so much more enjoyable and simple back in those days. No Facebook, no Instagram, no Twitter, just pure love when you're just writing a perfect letter for the special person. Late 80s, early 90s was the best.
It's been a long time since you left me. I didn't mean to make you cry.
It's like a Guido douchebag who's like, I didn't want, I didn't mean to make you cry. I'm sorry.
This guy's not Guido enough for me.
I'm just saying, if it was the anthem of those kind of guys.
He's this guy is like, he reminds me more of like a British kind of douchebag than an actual Guido. But
well, I think because he's
whatever,
from
I
West
get it.
Coast, whatever. But it was like the anthem of these kind of dudes, like, I'm sorry,
I hear you, I hear
Marie.
you.
I'm sorry, Marie. I'm sorry.
Oh, look! One of the funniest scenes in any movie is the opening to A Bronx Tale.
Yeah,
when he's narrating, he goes, "It was 1960s summer evening,
yeah,
when young Italian men are wooing their women.
Yeah.
Get in the car, Marie.
Yeah,
Marie,
yeah.
get in the fucking car."
Dude, do you know
Don't
that
make the scene.
I used to do the lock test? Can I show the folks at home what the lock test is?
Yeah, the Crazy Mario. Yeah. Oh no, the Sunny test, not the Crazy Mario test.
The Sunny, yeah. Lock here.
Yeah.
This. Crazy Mario. Here. I used to do this.
She's your first grade one.
Thanks a lot, son. I think I'm gonna go for it.
She's a good kid, this girl.
I don't know. I just met her yesterday, but I hope so.
Oh, here's what you do. Tomorrow you borrow my car.
You don't lend anybody a car.
It's all right. I'm going to lend you my car. I want you to make a good impression. You borrow my car, and then you give her the test.
What, the Mario test?
Mario's a fucking psycho. What are you listening to this kid for? You give her my test, you give her the door test.
What's the door test?
All right, listen to me. You pull her right where she is, right? Before you get out of the car, you lock both doors. Then you get out of the car, you walk over to her. You bring her over to the car. You take out the key, put in the lock, open the door for her. Then you let her get in. Then you close the door for her. Then you walk around the back of the car and you look through the rear window. If she doesn't reach over and lift up that button for you so you can get in, dump her.
Just like that?
Listen to me, kid. If she doesn't reach over and lift up that button for you so you can get in, that means she's a selfish broad, and all you're seeing is the tip of the iceberg. You dump her, and you dump her fast.
Yeah, what about all the beautiful things you just told me, though? Do what my heart tells me to do. It's all that matters. Find someone to pull into myself. I mean, hey, this could be one of the great ones.
Bullshit, kid. The door test, that's what counts. You dump her, and you dump her fast.
Dump her?
Dump.
My brother didn't mean it.
Yo, brother, where's your car? Give me the keys. Come on, we gotta go. Come on.
What are you talking about?
We gotta get there.
Sweeter than the taste of a cherry, so sweet. Yes, and I'm so proud, I'm so proud, I'm so proud of you.
I knew you were one of the great ones.
Great ones? What are you talking about?
Never mind. It's an Italian thing.
Dude, man. Like little stuff,
Can you play the beginning? I want to see that scene I was talking about.
Which one?
Italian guys wooing their women.
The Italian guys, what are they doing?
The intro, the intro. Get in the car, Marie.
Yeah. Opening credits. Oh, this thing. Chaz Palminteri made a one-man show off of Broadway from this movie. Very, very good.
No.
love you like I do.
What do you want, man? You gotta remove that for us. You quick.
Don't know why I love you. Don't know why I care. I just want your love to share. I wonder why I love you like I do. Is it because I think you love me too? I wonder why I love you like I do, like I do. I told my friends that we would never part. They often said that you would break my heart. I wonder why they think that we will part. We will
Yeah. Oh, little girl of mine. You sure look fine. Yes, you appeal to me. I never said you. Hey, oh shit. Stop it. Be my loving baby to the end of time. I can't sleep, get you off my mind. The boys all roll their eyes as we go strolling by. It's not so hard to see.
That's my dad, Lorenzo Anello. His bus route was 187th Street, and I used to love to ride the bus with him. That's me, Kalodja, at 9 years old.
Oh, well, now I know I love you so. I'll never, ever let you go.
All right, see you later, Pop.
I need your love, oh, so much. I thrill to your touch. So
Right upstairs, son.
Okay, Pop.
That's my mom, Rosina. She met my dad at a dance. They fell in love, and they've been together ever since.
I know, you always listen. Take care of this fucking game now.
That's when he goes
They
to.
didn't have that scene, the part that I was looking for.
Oh.
That's fine. I'll look it up
Yeah.
myself later.
Opening scene. Maybe they. Hold on. 1 second. Opening scene. No, the opening scene they have it with the mafia guys. I don't know. I don't know where this thing with them screaming at these girls.
No, it was one guy
Oh yeah.
who was driving. You know, his girlfriend was mad at him.
Yeah.
She was walking. She's like, let me out. You know,
Ah.
he's like, get in the car, Marie. You're making a
Yeah.
scene. You know?
Yeah. Hold on. In the car. Oh, I think I found it. Hold on. Oh, here we go. There we go.
Oh, you found it? All right.
Yeah. This is actually, yeah, this is when he yeah. It's short.
That's perfect. Short
Yeah.
is what we're looking for.
That's my building. I live right there on the 3rd floor. 667 East 187th Street. There's my stoop. And on warm summer nights, all through the neighborhood, you would hear the sounds of young Italian men romancing their women.
Hey, Marie! Get in the fucking car!
No!
Get in the car!
Leave me alone.
Come on, baby. You know I love
Yeah, bullshit.
Will you get in the fucking car?
That's exactly right.
Come on, baby. You know I love you.
You don't understand. You understand, folks. I grew up Coney Island Avenue between U and T, not in the Bronx, but in Brooklyn, and I would hear that every Saturday night. It wouldn't be Marie. It would be somebody else. It would be.
Did you tell me your dad shot one of these guys with a BB gun or something like that coming out of a bar?
Hopefully that guy is dead now and he doesn't watch our podcast. But yeah. I was I was a baby and I had scarlet fever.
Oh, wow.
And I was crying, and they were having trouble getting me to sleep. They finally got me to sleep. My dad came home from some crazy shift he was working as a taxi driver, and then these retard bikers showed up in the middle of the night. And on Coney Island Avenue, there was a bar across the street from my building called Hennessy.
Yeah,
and it was if any of you know the restaurant Sahara, it was a famous whatever.
It was on Coney Island Avenue.
Sahara?
No, this bar.
Yeah, the bar was across
Okay.
the street.
Okay.
A little bit further down the block, but basically across the street.
Yeah.
And these bikers came rumbling down the street, right? And I woke up, and my dad was so pissed off that he got the pump action rifle, the air rifle, and he was, one guy came out and he was like yelling, he was all drunk.
Yeah.
My father waited for like the bus to like roll by, like right in the ass.
Yeah,
pellet, no big deal. And then he was running back and forth. I'd kill everybody. Whatever.
That's hilarious. I'm actually looking at a photo of this Hennessy bar.
You see it, right?
I think it looks like it's not even a bar now. It's like, oh no, this is something else. Okay, never mind.
No, it's long gone.
It's long gone. Yeah. Interesting. The old institutions that it used to be,
Yeah.
That were like, dude, my friend, he once took me, in Sheepshead Bay, not on Emmons, but behind, one block behind toward, closer to the belt, there was a bar, like Knights of Columbus.
Yeah.
My friend once took me to this thing.
It's still there.
Yeah, it's still there. Okay, fine. He took me to this place. I didn't even know what the hell it is.
On Emmons and Coyle.
I walk in and I'm like, you automatically, like, I don't know if they knew that I'm Jewish, but like my friend is like, Ukrainian, but not technically not Jewish. So him and like his Guido friend, they took me to this Knights of Columbus. They're like, oh, come to Knights of Columbus. We'll hang out at Knights of Columbus. I walk in. It's like if you want to, I don't know. The word that came to my mind was just like Goyland when I walked into this room.
It's a Catholic fraternity.
Yeah. For Italian guys, basically, or an Irish,
Polish, whatever.
Yeah. But it was great. I didn't even know what the hell these things were. I just was at the bar. Okay, let's go to Knights of Columbus. Yeah, Knights of Columbus.
It's a Catholic Freemason.
Yeah,
thing.
Yeah. 300.
I don't know if it's not free. It's a Catholic fraternal order.
Yeah,
like Freemasons or the.
So it's like if you're a
Rotary
friend of a
Club.
friend, if you're a friend of a friend, they'll let you into the thing. Yeah. So like they just invited me to go. I'm like, dude, this is like it's not my scene. Hung out there for a little bit, got a beer and left. I was like, this place has the potential to be very anti-Semitic. I'm sitting there, I was just like, my God. I'm like, don't tell anybody I'm Jewish, and beat my ass. And of course, there's all these old timers there. I asked my friend, I'm like, bro, is there like mafia guys there? He's like, yeah, probably. Most likely,
we as Jews, in New York, we were fed a load of crap.
About.
Those are the guys you had the least to worry about. All right, man. Okay, let's say that they might hold some opinions. They wouldn't do anything to you. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, no, they wouldn't. Yeah, while I'm there, they're not gonna.
they'll probably talk crap, but they're not. You're not in any
Yeah,
danger.
yeah,
You know?
yeah. Most likely not. I once went to where did I go where I thought literally, oh dude, speaking of the Bronx. So I have a friend who lives in Riverdale, the Jewish part of the Bronx. So he was like, whatever, he didn't grow up in America, so he wanted to experience like what's New Year's in New York, right? So he's like, I want to go like dancing. So we didn't go to the city. We're in the Bronx, right? So he's like, where can we go in the Bronx? He wanted to go to like a merengue club in the Bronx. He insisted. So we found like this, like, I don't know, some Dominican or Puerto Rican place in the Bronx, but it's like one of those, it's not like a rundown place. You walk in, there's like everybody's dressed in the nines. But it was we went like merengue hopping, like of these different bars. Every place we walked into, it's like, you turn around and it's, like like the vinyl stops,
Yeah,
that kind of thing, that
yeah.
kind of effect. It was funny because the men were upset at us. Why? Because the ladies were looking at us like, like
Something, some
something
potential
new.
prospects.
Because my friend, he was, he's a Lubavitcher guy, but like blonde hair, raised in Sao Paulo, Brazil. I'm like, I look like I could be in one of the whatever, like some white guy from the
You look like the villain in the Zorro movie.
yeah, the Mexican thing from whatever. So then we walk in and they're just like, and then these dudes look like they wanted to kill us, like
You look like Sosa's cousin.
yeah, so it's cousin. So then we walk in and then of course El Duque, like Orlando Hernandez looks like he wants to cat
Yeah.
that ass. And I'm like, bro, can we get out of here? He's like, what? Stop being so racist. I'm like, bro, you're gonna get killed tonight. Let's get the fuck out of here, okay?
Your friend's a retard.
I know he's a big retard. I told him like, you're not from here. You don't know what you're doing. Let's get. He's like, no, let's stay for. So we stay for like 10 minutes, and then like you're getting dirty looks from El Duque, and then the ladies are trying to like flirt, and I'm like, bro, if we don't get out of here, we're gonna have more than the New Year's fireworks, okay? Let's get the flip out of here, bro. I know you want to experience New York, whatever.
Yeah, I know. No,
Trust me
dude,
when I tell you.
Yeah, you got to stay away from that. Like, honestly, you really have to know the people. You got to know the people,
Yeah.
like tolerance level, right?
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, Dominicans not very like
No.
straight up. Like, let's say if it's like a Latino bar,
Yeah.
they're not welcome.
No.
You're not welcome if you're not one of them. You're just not.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
I like, for instance, I drank at a Nigerian bar. They're more chill.
Yeah.
In terms of like, you just have to know the people you're dealing. You gotta be have a little bit of familiarity.
Read the room.
Culture.
Yeah.
You gotta be able to read the room. You can't be,
Yeah. This guy, because Brazil, I remember like every time
you know what your friend reminds me of? I'm sorry.
No.
Richard Pryor talking about when they were
the Italian, the mob club.
No.
Oh.
Although I love that. But Richard Pryor was talking about this movie that he did a series of movies with Gene Wilder.
Yeah.
And one of the movies was in jail, was in prison. I think it was
not
called
Hear No Evil?
Stir Crazy, maybe.
Oh.
I don't remember exactly. It's probably Stir Crazy. And he was like telling the story about, they were filming inside a prison with real inmates. And he's like, there goes Gene. He's jumping in the middle of all these like murderers and killers, right? And he's like, "Hey guys, how you doing?" He's doing an impression of Gene Wilder, and I was like, "Gene, get your ass over here." He goes, "Why? What's the matter, Richard?" He goes, "What are you doing? You can't just jump in there." He goes, "Why? What do you think they're gonna do to us?" He's like, "Fuck us."
Yeah. It's like you know what else it reminds me of?
Find the clip, please.
I was gonna play you the Trading Places when he goes to jail in the beginning. But he's like black and everybody else is black, so it's not as fun. Not as
No, you gotta find. Gene Wilder talks about Richard Pryor talks about Gene Wilder in prison or something like that.
Yeah. This is a stand-up Richard Pryor, or this is like in a movie scene?
I think it's part of a stand-up.
Uh-huh.
Because he said
they go to like to research something and stuff. New cellmate scene, this thing?
No.
Infamous prison scene. We bad, get bad, Jack. Stir crazy. This thing.
It's about that movie.
But it's okay.
Richard. I think it's Richard Pryor stand.
Oh, here we go. Richard Pryor prison.
Yeah.
This thing maybe.
Is it stand up? It's stand up.
It's when he's wearing that red suit. It's the same one.
He's like, thank God for penitentiary.
This thing.
Yeah. This is
At least I don't have to look at them anymore. I went to penitentiary. Gene Wilder, I did a movie.
Oh, yeah.
I went to, not me personally. I mean, I went to do a film in penitentiary. And I was up there 6 weeks, Arizona State Penitentiary. It was some, oh, you're applauding for that? Arizona State Penitentiary, real popular. Oh man, it was strange because it's like 80% black people. And what's strange about that is that there are no black people in Arizona. I'm not lying, they bust motherfuckers in. And I was up there and I looked at all the brothers and it made my heart ache. You know, it's all these beautiful black men in the joint. Goddamn warriors should be out there helping the masses. And I felt that way. I was real naive, right? In 6 weeks I was up there, I talked to the brothers, you know, and I talked to them. And thank God we got penitentiaries. I said, why did you kill everybody in the house? He guessed it. They was home. I mean, murderers. Did you hear me? Real live murderers. I thought black people killed people by accident. No, these motherfuckers was murderers. I met one brother, his name was J-Bo. Motherfucker lift weights, he was in charge of it. J-Bo, muscles every motherfucker. Where's my man, muscle? He was doing a sentence, triple life. How in the fuck do you do triple life? I mean, if he die and come back, he got to go to penitentiary. Right? They say, fuck kindergarten, get your little ass back in the penitentiary, motherfucker. You know what you did last time you was in. Gene Wilder loved to jump in the middle of the killers and start talking, hi guys, how you doing? I said, Gene, bring your ass on. What do you think they do to us if we were here, Rich? I say, fuck us.
All right.
And Gene said, I'm not homosexual. Homosexual ain't got nothing to do with it. They don't fuck you because you like it. They just fuck you just to see that look on your face.
All right.
Oh man.
He's like, Gene, get your ass out. I can picture that. You know, I know he's telling the truth. That's precisely what happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
I want to play the scene from Trading Places with Eddie Murphy. He's like gets arrested and then he's like,
I had to keep you doing the tight surveillance, man. That's why I'm wearing these bummy clothes. You had to make sure a dude had his payroll before I made my move.
Tell us how you cut him.
Yeah, I ain't cut him with no knife, man. But you told me last night you cut the dude. With these, I cut him. I am a chain belt in Kung Fu. Bruce Lee was my teacher. Watch this. What?
Chain belt. Nigga.
That's called the quarter blood technique. You do that, a quarter blood will drop out of a person's body.
Tell how you beat on a cop.
Wasn't no cop, man. It was cops. Plural. 9, 10 cops. Beat the shit out of 10 cops and had to change my whole strategy around.
Yo, when they brought you in here and booked you, you was crying like a pussy. Yeah.
That's cause as one of the cops fell, he threw tear gas in my face. And that's the kind of shit they use on crowds, man. I still walk in here like a man, so get out of my face, all right?
I mean, you beating up on a man, you putting a man in the hospital, how come I don't see no marks on you? Yeah.
Cause I'm a karate man, all right? Karate man bruise on the inside. They don't show their weaknesses. But you don't know that because you're a big Barry White looking motherfucker. Now get off my back, all right? My bitches hurry up and get here. I ain't got no time to be sitting inside this cell with you.
Where is your bitches, Mr. Big Time Pimp? Yeah.
Yeah.
Didn't I tell you that the phone in my limousine was busted and I can't get in contact with my bitches?
Yeah, the phone in the limo is busted. What are you, ignorant?
Hey, look, sit down, all right?
It ain't cool being no jive turkey so close to Thanksgiving.
Hey, you boys don't know what you're doing. I can see that already. Do you know who you fucking with? Do you know who you fucking with? Ah, back the fuck up. Back up. You know who you fucking with in cell number 4 on the 9th floor?
Billy Ray Valentine?
Yes?
Move it. You made bail.
I did. May I suggest using a nightstick, officer? Get out of here!
Man, I suggest using that thing off there. Oh man.
Nah,
Yes.
I think my favorite part, my brother loved that movie. My favorite part is when, people come when he gets rich and people, he throws a party and then he's
Mhm.
done. He's like, get the fuck out.
Oh yeah.
Everybody has to leave.
Yeah.
But
Actually, when I-
my brother
Yeah.
loved the part when Dan Aykroyd was choking him.
Yeah.
And he's like, it was the Dukes. It was the Dukes."
Yeah.
That's my brother's favorite part. He was
Yeah.
laughing all the time when he.
Yeah. Here,
So-
this is. I just want to play that scene for a second.
Oh yeah, it was the Dukes. Yeah, please show.
Oh no! Oh okay. Try that.
Make my brother laugh.
He wakes up. So fun. He said, "Coleman, I
You're
dreamt
a
I had
dead man, Valentine."
I dreamt I had a Negro, and da 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 da
It was a dream. I dreamt the whole thing. It was just a bad dream.
Good morning, sir. Merry Christmas.
Coleman, I've had the most absurd nightmare. I was poor and no one liked me. I lost my job. I lost my house. Penelope hated me. And it was all because of this terrible, awful Negro.
It was the Dukes. It was the Dukes.
You're a dead man, Valentine!
It wasn't.
Dude, this is you trying to tell people it was the Dukes.
Yes.
And they're freaking choking you.
No, but it's different.
And they're in a
I'm
dream.
choking them.
And- yeah,
I'm
yeah,
choking them. It was
correct. But they thought they were in a dream. It was a horrible dream. And this Zelenko guy was there trying to get me to take some stuff. It was a dream. I want to forget the dream, that dream that I had with these Dukes, and they had a bet. How much you want to bet I can make everybody comply? How much you want to bet? I'll bet you $1. Okay, Dr. Fauci, you're on. I bet you that's what they did. Fauci and that Schwab, cotton swab guy. Pinhead motherfucker. Sorry.
Yeah, no, it's like
Yeah.
So, ow, squeaky.
Squeaky's like, don't worry about it. I'll bite your ass.
She does, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so
UFOs, huh?
Oh yeah, so UFOs, huh? There's this dude. I got to show you this. Let me find it. I was watching it.
It's
earlier
like
today.
more annoying crap for Greg.
No.
I'm kidding.
I'm not saying UFOs. The stuff I'm talking about, UFOs, is on the same level as COVID or my brother or anything like that.
Yeah.
But I just shake my head, like, because how little this registers on people. Like, you gotta just appreciate this for a moment. Hold on, find the thing I was watching before. You gotta listen to this.
Yeah,
hold on. History. There we go. Can you type in how UAP secrecy may have started in the 1940s? The Soul.
This is war on what's it
This
called?
is a short clip.
On X?
No, on YouTube.
Oh, okay. By the way, they interviewed, that lady, she's like an economist.
Estevez?
No.
The last name is Estevez?
This guy, the guy Truth Poll X on X on Twitter.
Not sure.
Whatever, he's at one of these accounts. Subject of interdimensional intelligence brought up by Danny Jones podcast. Is the world run by interdimensional demonic intelligence? Oh,
Danny
Catherine
Jones is
Austin.
kind of
Catherine Austin Fitz. He interviewed her. I guess that's her. Is it her? Yeah.
I don't know, but there's a lady named like the new big shot
Yeah.
who was like a very serious person who just came out saying that we have UFO technology. Is some lady with the last name Estevez.
Oh, okay.
You can write like Estevez UAP, and then
This
you'll
is-
see like
UAP secrecies may have started in the 1940s. The Soul
Yeah.
SOL Foundation.
Yeah, I just wanted to just listen to these guys for a second.
Yeah. We mentioned them before. The Soul Foundation. Soul.
Oh,
Foundation.
the Soul Foundation.
Semi-van.
Yeah, so folks, just so you understand, you know what? Let first listen to what he's saying. Then I'm going to tell you who this guy is.
These agnostic fruitcakes.
No, there's more important things than what they are. Then just listen. This guy's Catholic, actually.
Let's rewind for a second and imagine historically, and imagine that it's the 1940s or 50s, and some events take place that result in some high-level executive branch
stop for a second?
decision.
Dude, this guy looks like a UAP.
I was just gonna say,
And a
this guy
human
looks like-
breeded.
This guy looks like Billy Corgan. What's
Yeah.
the guy from Smashing
Yeah, Billy
Pumpkins?
Corgan, yeah.
Mixed with like the Mask,
Rufus, yeah.
like Jim Carrey from the Mask. Like
Yeah,
this
yeah,
guy
yeah.
looks like guy looks like the guy who shot Martin
Smoking.
Luther King.
Yeah.
Okay. This guy look, Anyway, the point is that it's not about this guy. I want you to focus on the other guy.
Yeah.
The other guy looks like a more familiar looking kind of human being.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
He looks like somebody's
Probably a
uncle.
presidential decision to impose secrecy
But
over
this guy
this.
doesn't look like anyone's
What do you
uncle.
think that looked like?
Yeah.
Because if we understand that, we might understand what could be dealt with in the present and the part of this that might be too confusing to deal with.
Yeah, that's an excellent question. Let me just get a plug for Dave Grush for a second. I like David Grush, and what he talked about, I believe to be absolutely accurate, and I'm going to leave that hanging out there. Okay, so when I talk about my idea, hypothetically, what probably happened. Let's say you're Truman. The war's just ended. You drop the atom bomb. You also know that you have information regarding alien craft or non-human craft that you've had, say, in the 30s, early 40s, when really it first became known. And then you have the incident at Roswell and at Kingman and other places. And the Army Air Force comes up to you and says, no question, these things are real. They can't be. They're not Chinese. I mean, China was a basket case back then, as was the Soviet Union. Total basket cases. There's no way that would be their technology. And of course, we knew what we had, right? We knew our own technology. So you're presented with this, and some general comes up to you and he tells you, "Oh boy, we don't know what this is, but it's not us, and it's probably going to be from outside the solar system or inside the solar system. We really don't know." And they don't have a very sophisticated view of this at the time, right? Now, America is pretty agrarian at the time, right? Our communication systems are crappy, to say the least. Again, you're too young to remember party lines and all kind of stuff like that, but I remember them very clearly. So you're worried about panic, and you want to sort of dampen that down, and you also don't want another Pearl Harbor. So Truman, was it Truman or Eisenhower created in 1947? So it would probably be Eisenhower. No, Truman created the National Security Act, where we created, the Central Intelligence Agency, National Security Council, Department of Defense, Joint Chiefs of Staff. I mean, that was all an outcome of World War II. I mean, it was this need to consolidate information and intelligence so nothing bad happens to us. But yet you have this problem, and it's getting worse because people are starting to see these all the time, these craft all the time. And it's clogging up telecommunication systems. People are worried about it. And it was a true concern back in the day. They were also concerned that the Russians would use it, to basically screw up I should say the Soviet Union, to screw up our own communication systems by putting false information out there about UFOs and what have you. So they can, attack us, and very, very real concerns. I mean, we were very, very concerned about Russia and having to fight, or Soviet Union having to fight a war with them right after World War II. So what do? Well, you look around and you say, well, somebody's got to look into this. So is it going to be the Air Force? Is it going to be this new organization I made, CIA? Is it going to be the National Security Council? Do I give it to, another entity, the Army, the Navy? But you decide on probably, and you don't need a lot of imagination to decide where this landed. All right. There are certain organizations that have a certain charter to do this, and that's where it landed. And it landed with two main groups, and an intelligence organization and a DOD organization. And then you had to determine, how do we keep this secret? How do we not discuss this? Because we cannot, this is even more important than the Manhattan Project. How do we keep, of course, what the Russians knew what we were doing all along, but how do we keep this important? So you basically say, well, the way to do that is really give it to private organizations, particularly the defense contractors, which were, sort of a new thing, right? And let them work this out. Let's not give everything to one. Let's split it up and give each one a separate problem, and let's work on this. And then you determine, how am I going to keep this a secret? So there was such a thing. It was created during the Eisenhower administration, called the Presidential Emergency Action Documents. And very, very little is known about them. But I've known about them for years. And they give the president an extraordinary amount of power regarding extraordinary circumstances that may affect the United States for any kind of reason, whether it's a war or an invasion of some type. It allows the president to do things that normally he would have to go through Congress or the judicial branch to do. So it gives him that leeway. And there's a lot of these PEADs that have been out there, and they're always classified, at least as a secret level. Many of them top secret. But it's my opinion that Eisenhower created a PEAD and basically said, this information is never going out. It's going to stay exactly where it is till we can get a handle on it. And I think that's exactly where it's been for the last 80 years. And I don't think, my personal opinion, is they have much of a handle on it. I think they've been able to glean information, from this, from, downcraft and other things, biologics, if you want to call them that, and possible communication with NHI. But I think they were able to extrapolate, some information and maybe create some new technologies that are out there. But as far as having the technological understanding of say a downed UAP craft, I just can't see that.
Right.
Even be.
But let's go into that presidential decision. At that time,
right,
for sure, there would have been a security concern. There would have been a concern that if you have a technological presence like this, that may present some kind of existential threat, not just to the United States, but to humankind as a whole. But some of the other things you're saying are that some of this stuff is so much on the side of consciousness or something noetic that you wouldn't be thinking of it as a threat in the same way. So do you think the understanding has changed over time where in fact, at some point and this is one of my own hypotheses, there was a thought that like, okay, we've never really seen a hostile act from these things. We haven't seen the use of kinetic weapons. We can more or less kind of relax and assume that this is so incommensurate with reality as we know it that it's not interacting with us at our own time scale, or it doesn't have our concerns. I mean, do you think something like that has gone on? And in fact, the security thing's not a dilemma anymore where the secrecy is concerned.
Well, I think you'd have to be careful not to assume that because something is anomalous or noetic, that it isn't dangerous or could be dangerous. I remember our reaction, how the remote viewing program started, was basically a reaction to, the Soviets in the 30s and 40s experimenting with, psychic phenomena. And you get wind of that. And then, the first thing, that say an organization like CIA does, they can't let that go. You can't let that go. You have to figure out what are they up to, and are they going to surprise us with some kind of, technology that we know nothing about? So you start your own programs, and then you try to figure out what they're doing, and they're trying to figure out what you're doing. And, the remote viewing program came into existence. And it lasted 20 plus years. It's probably still going on, hidden somewhere today, but it was successful. It was a successful program. They wouldn't have kept it for 20 years if it wasn't. They just couldn't explain it. And how do you use the information you've gotten from a remote viewer, and how do you put it into an intelligence assessment?
Sure.
You can't.
But I want to interject to make a point before we go to the break. And yet, when we compare UAP secrecy to what secrecy there is around remote viewing, the very same people that worked on remote viewing can talk very freely and openly about that. But when I encounter career agency and other career government people like yourself, the amount of caution around talking about UAP is, it's just infinitely higher, which tells me there's some kind of difference there, not just because there's technology, but because what's understood is, my hypothesis here is that what's understood is considered to be dangerous in some way or potentially dangerous, and that there are concerns there that make it more like a traditional security issue.
That's exactly right. Remember, the two primary aspects to UAP and the phenomenon are the nuts and bolts aspect. How does that craft fly, right? How do these biologics, work in our environment? What are they made out of? Are they human? Are they close to being human? Or are they just something totally, completely different? And then there's the flip side. And to me, probably the most important side is what Jacques Vallée calls, the psychic element to all of this. None of this, I've had it explained to me.
Hi, where are you? Hey.
I don't want to be alarmist about it because I don't think it's a bad thing, or, I don't think it's a good thing or a bad thing. I just think it's just sort of out there. But it's a little bit scary in the sense that what we don't know is that if reality isn't what we think it is, and these people are able to manipulate at least our version of reality to a certain extent, at least, then we have to be concerned about that, because that's the main goal of government, right? Protect its people. Now, have they done that? Well, yeah, if you look at abductions as being real, and I do believe they're real, well, yeah, they have done that to a certain extent, and human rights violations, but it's not been on a scale, they haven't killed anybody, as far as I know. I don't think there's been any deliberate attacks. So as far as UAP or the phenomenon being an existential threat, no, I don't think that exists at all. I just don't see that. I think the most we can say about them is, they're indifferent, to maybe us, and that there's a leitmotif of trickery and deceit that runs through their communications with us. And if you look at abduction experiences in general and what these beings, when they meet people, have contact experiences with them, what they tell the people, the contactees, not always true, not always correct, or they have the contactees contact somebody else and say this is going to happen, and of course never happens. It's like apocalypticism, right? These people come out and say the world's going to end on such and such date. It just doesn't happen. So there are so many variables in all of this. We just have to be careful. And so when you're talking about disclosure, I'm going to go back to that. Is like, let's see if we can have a reasonably good handle, at least, on some of these questions before we go out and start, making statements about what we know and what we don't know.
Okay, so if you're talking about like two kind of ufologists,
Yeah.
having a discussion like that, it's pretty mild.
Yeah.
Here's two guys talking about UAPs like as if they're real, abductions, non-human entities as if they're real, right? Who do you expect to be having this kind of conversation? Kind of like the kind of people you're talking about.
Yeah.
Those new agey kind of whatever, kind of like flaky people, right? That guy on the right, Jim Semivan, was the head of CIA clandestine operations. 25 years. Folks, that operation that Israel just carried out in Iran, right? Having agents embedded, having like they built a base in Iran and they constructed drones that struck major targets in Iran, like those kind of operations. That's what this guy did for the CIA.
Yeah.
Do you understand what, like, why am I the only one who's like, what the fuck is going on with these people?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
how
of
come
course.
nobody's like, why are our primary, like, folks, the James Bond part, like the actual spy part of the CIA.
Yeah.
That guy was running that recently for 25 years.
Yeah.
He's an abductee. He considers himself an abductee. Him and his wife. He says that these things came and they took, they whatever, you know what I mean? Like, he's not saying that you got to listen, like, these people, these are high level, these are people who if you didn't know anything, if you didn't know this about them, you would be like, well, these are the most credible people you could ever come in contact with. You'd want, you'd want to get their autograph or whatever. You know what I mean? Like,
So you sent me links. I mean,
Oh yeah.
I opened them on my phone, but I mean, like, I'd rather. Open it on my computer.
Is there any way, like, how could I send them to you?
I found both of them. I mean, I can find both of them. It's not a big deal.
So can we show the one with the orbs?
Yeah.
For a second.
Yeah.
The reason why this is kind of interesting, it's actually pretty damn interesting, is because of the people. Colm Kelleher, who are the two scientists that are mentioned there?
1 second.
Okay.
Planet Hunter 56. This guy UAP Juan. Let's see.
It's remarkable.
Yeah.
I say that as it's worthy of remarking.
Yeah.
It's worthy of a remark, and I'd like to explain why. Just like this guy with the Jim Semivan, the CIA dude, talking about this. This is also kind of on that level.
I just need to find this link, and these guys, they post so much every day.
Yeah.
And here we go. Okay. So basically, this is At what point does pareidolia become the real phenomenon? Case in point, luminous orb turn into luminous humanoids. From Kelleher Knapp's hunt for the skinwalker, one orb of light descended to the ground and began to stretch and change, turning into a tall humanoid glowing with its own light. It stepped out of the orb as if it was a doorway. From Valet's confrontations, the globe of light changed form before our eyes and slowly morphed into a tall, glowing human figure. It did not walk but floated as if weightless. From Keel's The Mothman Prophecies, some witnesses claimed that the dancing lights in the sky condensed into shapes, forms like men are made of light who simply stood and watched in silence. Interesting.
So if you can just scroll back up for a second.
Yeah.
So Colm Kelleher, can you like see from Kelleher and Knapp's? There's a book called Hunt for the Skinwalker. So Knapp is George Knapp. He's a journalist, from the Las Vegas area who's been covering this topic. He's the one was who brought Bob Lazar or whatever. But what's more interesting is that his co-writer in that book was Colm Kelleher. Can we do a little like a little biography on this guy? Let's just say a minor, just to read a little bit about him, because just so you understand, folks, like this is not
COLM Kelleher.
I think it's C-O-M.
He is Thomas Columba Colm Kelleher is an Irish British business executive and banker. He's born in Ireland. Chairman of the board of directors of Swiss Multinational Investment Bank and Financial and UBS. Since he's the current chairman of UBS. Before joining UBS, Kelleher held various positions spanning 3 decades and at its American counterpart Morgan Stanley from 1989 to 2019.
I don't know if this is the same guy we're reading about.
Colm, C-O-L-M?
Yeah, I think no, because this guy Kelleher is a scientist.
Sorry, I apologize. I guess these people are like all related, could be related. 1 second.
Yeah,
Colm A. Kelleher. So Colm A. Kelleher is a guy, there's an article, Rice University, Program Manager, Advanced Aerospace System Weapons, Contractor Defense Intelligence Agency, PhD in Biochemistry from University of Dublin, also Irish guy.
Yeah.
He spent 35 years working in diverse variety of careers. He was in DOD. He was a research scientist in Denver National Jewish Center. The hell? In Denver, Colorado, between 1991 and 1996.
He worked for Bigelow Aerospace.
Yeah. He worked for all kinds of stuff.
Bigelow is a big donor to Trump, by the way.
Yeah. See, Kelleher co-authored Hunt for Skinwalker in 2005 with journalist George Knapp and Skinwalkers at the Pentagon in 2021 with James Lakatsky and George Knapp.
Okay, can you read about James Lakatsky, please?
Yeah.
These are DOD research scientists.
Interesting. Let's see.
Department of Defense.
James Lakatsky. He is. Come on, it's so slow. It's verifying that I'm human. Why? Why does it need to do that? Lama. Okay. It just talks about his books. It doesn't tell me who he is. Okay, The Guardian had an article about him. God, way to pay. 1 second. Come on. No. I'm not finding. Hold on. I'm trying to find about the guy. Come on. Let's see. James T. Lakatsky, PhD. Okay.
Lakatsky, right?
You know what? I'm just gonna go to the Amazon thing. Here we go. This is Coast to Coast that has a thing on him. What's his face? Nouri. He was a Defense Intelligence Agency program manager, contracting officer representative, security coordinator, counterintelligence coordinator with Advanced Aerospace Weapons System Applications Program, or SAP. $22 million UFO research effort. Jim is a bachelor's, master's, and PhD engineering and nuclear engineering with expertise in fusion, plasmas, and direct energy weapons. In 2007, Jim met Robert Bigelow and Senator Harry Reid. Leading to the start of OSAP in 2008. Past shows joined George Knapp, joined by Colm Kelleher and James Lakatsky, former DI. Also, they have like a whole episode about this.
Okay,
talked about their new book.
Just wanted to get
serious people.
These are serious people who did serious work. They have high level clearances, and they're telling you about orbs that turn into humanoids.
Yeah.
Can you show the picture again?
Yes.
They wrote a book. They published these pictures.
They had a radio thing. You can listen to it on George Nouri, and this is from 2021, October 2021. About the same time we started the show.
And folks, this is interesting because the Torah describes this kind of stuff
Yeah.
as this is how spiritual beings
Yeah.
Manifest
Yeah.
in our world.
Yeah.
Like
Yes.
things that are like human souls, angels, and even demons.
Mm-hmm.
They travel or can be experienced as orbs, and then
Yeah.
sometimes they can their shape can shift. So this is a visualization of what we learn in Torah about how spiritual beings.
Yeah.
So I consider that noteworthy.
Yeah. It's incredible, actually.
You know what I mean? Like,
I just
am I
want them
crazy
to
here? I don't think
appear.
so.
So the question is, again, well, we're waiting. Why can't they just appear in the middle of New York? Like right when Mamdani is being inaugurated, they just appear and they just like scare the crap out of him.
I didn't say they weren't jerks. I'm just saying there they are. Yeah.
Jerks.
Yeah, they are, aren't they? Like that's what they are.
They're jerks for not appearing.
Yeah.
Jerks.
That's what they are. You know what they are? You know what they make me feel like?
What?
Like, you know, when you can know this if you're the youngest in the family, right?
Yeah.
Or, you're like the little kid, right? And, when they make you go to sleep early, it's your bedtime,
Yeah.
but you know that
Yeah.
they're partying and having fun without you.
Yeah.
Like that. In fact, they put you to bed early so that you wouldn't be able to enjoy the party.
Yeah.
With your parents and your older brother.
Yeah.
They're eating pizza, they're having like ice cream cake, and they didn't want to share it with you.
And
That's
you're the little kid that you're sitting on the couch, you're like this, you're just trying to stay awake so that they don't put you, you're like,
yeah, you're like, I'm gonna
Wait a
miss
sec.
I'm gonna miss all the good stuff that the adults do. They must be doing. They're jumping on the bed
Yeah.
without me. They don't want to let me jump on the bed. They must be jumping on the bed and eating
Yeah.
ice cream cake and pizza. They're
Yeah.
having a pizza party,
Yeah.
and they don't want me, so they're making me go to sleep. That's what it feels like dealing with these whatever these guys.
Swallow
You
shit.
know that you just know they're having a pizza party without you.
Oh, of course they are. Well, that's
Okay.
why we have to read Bart Sadok's book. Well, it's not even, I mean, it's like a thing that you can tap into certain things. That's what I've been doing.
I have not.
I don't know if it's working. I don't know if I'm doing anything. If I'm accomplishing anything, I have no idea. Maybe it's possible. I don't know. No idea.
Look, let me boil it down for you. I don't know if because he writes a lot. There's a lot of it's verbose.
Yeah.
So it's easy to miss important nuggets. Okay.
Yeah.
So basically, when you do these mantras, right? You're contemplating what they mean, but primarily you're saying them over and over again, where you can get tired and you start to like you start to perhaps like fall asleep as you're doing it.
Yeah.
That's when there's the potential for the ascent.
Oh, interesting.
Things that come to you in those moments of in between
Yeah.
waking and sleeping, it's kind of like a trance.
Yeah.
So that's kind of basically you're waiting you're waiting
You're waiting for the hard drive to be clear so you can download information into the hard drive, so to speak.
yeah, you have to like get from like the point of like waking to right before you fall asleep. There's a moment there
Yeah.
where you can where the bus you get picked up on at the bus stop, so to speak.
Yeah.
The bus will come.
Yeah.
Okay.
Interesting. Yeah.
Were you conscious of that? Because that's the key. That's the key to the technique.
You know what it is? There's certain times in the day where I can feel usually it's around mincha, like afternoon. You can feel a stronger pull, if that makes any sense. You can feel stronger energy. And that's when something kind of arrives, as it were. As far as what you're talking about, I didn't even know that was that was supposed to be doing that.
That's the thing. Like the mantra.
Good to know.
you get to that point, right? There's also something else that it's not exactly the same, but it might be actually that happens to me. It's triggered with music,
Yeah.
but I got to be by myself, and it usually happens when
Same.
I'm driving.
Same. Yeah.
That's called, when you get into like the reverie,
Yeah, of course.
that kind of thing. So
Yeah. Yeah.
that's not exactly the same, but it's related.
Yeah. Yeah.
So now with that new piece of information, and that's not my innovation. I got that from him.
From Barzano.
Yeah, because I've been watching his videos for years, his lectures, and I've been reading his books. So he doesn't he lays it all out there,
Yeah.
right? And the most important nuggets are like needles in the haystack.
Yeah.
I just happened, because I watched and read so much of him,
Yeah.
I happened to catch these important little things that I was wondering whether or not
He doesn't explicitly guide people. This is the problem. And even in the books, he doesn't really like he tells you some of these things you got to say a certain amount of time, some of these things you say this amount of time, some of these things you say 26, some of these things are 7, some of these things are 5, some of these things he doesn't say. You just kind of figure out on your own how many times you say, or until you just keep saying it.
Dude, it's like the thing that it's like you're broadcasting a signal.
Yeah.
Like when you're saying these
Yeah.
mantras, for
Yeah.
lack of a better word, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then it might pick up. It might,
Yeah.
somebody might pick up the signal.
Yeah.
Right? That's what you're waiting for. It's like that ET phone home thing.
For
That
sure.
little
For
that
sure.
little machine that
Yeah.
he made
Yeah.
with the toys and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So just beware.
Yeah. Correctamundo.
So have we said anything useful or pertinent in this episode?
I think we have. I mean, you definitely enlightened me with the whole thing of like people don't want to access this because right next to it is that. That really.
It's right there next to each other.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
it
Like,
hit the nail on the head for me with regards to with now how I'm gonna interface with these folks. Meaning, I feel bad for everybody.
you
I feel
pity
bad.
fools?
I pity the fool. No, like I feel bad for everybody. I look at everybody as like a. I don't want to use the word cripple, but it's just like it's really that you're dealing with. Yeah. Like you said, it's not, I mean, it's partially junior high school dance and it's partially like, really, it's like kindergarten in a way.
Or kindergarten.
Yeah.
I think when I say junior high school, I should have really said elementary school, because that's the last dance I went to.
Yeah.
Like I went to my elementary school prom
Yeah.
in the 6th grade.
Listen, at best, it's like high school, at best,
Dude, I remember that prom. Like, it's a bunch of 12-year-olds.
Yeah.
And they hired this DJ.
Yeah.
Kind of like chubby guy.
Yeah.
But he got everybody to dance. Nobody would have danced with, if he wasn't like, he's like that DJ that you were talking about.
The MC,
who tried to get people-
but like it's an MC more, yeah.
He was an MC and the DJ, but
Yeah.
the music was good. But because you have a bunch of awkward children,
Yeah.
but he somehow loosened everybody. He got everybody
Yeah.
to loosen up,
Yeah.
and I remember like some black and the guy was white. He had like
Yeah.
a kind of like a one of those like Wilford Brimley mustaches.
Oh,
Oddly
yeah.
enough.
That's funny.
He was kind of built like him,
Yeah.
but he was like playing funk and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And he was getting everybody to dance. And I remember some like there were chaperone moms there.
Yeah.
And some, this black mom, she's like, you wouldn't, none of y'all would be dancing unless it was that white man. Like she said, if it wasn't for that white man, none of y'all would be dancing.
That's really funny.
She was one of those like PTA moms who was
Yeah,
always,
yeah. That's hilarious.
She's hilarious. Yeah.
This is where, what school is this?
PS 153.
Oh, that's funny.
That was the same school with the crossing guard who called me Yuki.
Oh, yeah, you told me. Where
Irish
was
lady.
this? Where was this school?
On Avenue T in Homecrest.
Oh, okay. I went to 216 on X between Ocean Parkway and McDonald, closer to McDonald. It was like more like a Gravesend Italian kind of, also like an Italianish neighborhood. Very diverse though. So I lived on Z. I lived on Z and basically on West Street between Z and Shore, like the Belt. You know that neighborhood.
Yeah.
So my elementary school was named after, Arturo Toscanini,
Yeah.
the conductor, the famous. So I went to Arturo Toscanini. You know what my school is now? They turned the schoolyard where I used to play, like red ass and soccer and all that stuff. It's a giant like
Red
greenhouse
ass.
thing. Yeah. Or
Oh,
whatever. What do you
you're talking about asses up. All
Asses
right.
up, yeah, yeah. No, like it's a
Right.
giant greenhouse thing now. It's like a whole like ecological, it's like a jungle they made for like kids to like grow plants.
Yeah, we didn't have that, folks.
We did not have that.
We just had concrete.
We
to
had
play.
concrete, and then eventually they put like a, like a. It wasn't. It was a basketball hoop that was lower. Like we had like one that was like 6 feet. So you could like I could dunk on it, kind
Yeah.
of thing. And we had like whatever we played like soccer there, and we played also two-hand touch, football.
No,
You
you
know?
ever go if you grew up in Brooklyn
Yeah.
and then for some reason you go out to the suburbs and you go to the parks and you see that their basketball hoops have nets and they're
Yeah.
like,
When I moved to
"That's
Jersey, I
weird."
was like, what is this? In our basketball hoop, it was a metal backboard with screws in it and just it's just a ring. It's just a metal ring.
Yeah, and
And if you got a swish, it just meant that the ball went right through the hoop and it just went right through the hoop. It just didn't make a sound.
yeah,
That would have been a swish, that like it just hit
silence,
air.
just silence.
Yeah, that's how you knew you're playing somebody good when they just.
Yeah,
I remember that we had a guy from like he had a Lincoln, he played for the Lincoln basketball team. This is like 1992. And he had like a Lincoln shirt. I remember the guy used to come, white guy actually. He used to come and just practice free throws on Z Park. I never saw him miss a free throw. And I'm like looking at him. I'm like, wow, this is like high school basketball players. These guys are like, I can only imagine what like, NBA guys are. This is a high school guy. He's like amazing. Just standing there watching him like just drain these free throws like like 30 minutes.
yeah.
I was like amazed. Like, wow.
Yeah, I remember Kelly Park, right next to Cunningham.
Yeah.
So there's the park there, and there was a Chinese kid who was like 5'5" who could dunk.
It's crazy.
Like, he was like a freshman in high school. Like he dunked. It was amazing. Like we're looking at him in awe. Like how come he's not like he should be on TV or something like that? Like is this being filmed?
Yeah.
5'5" dude.
It's
Just
like a
dunk.
Chinese Spud Webb. I remember like Spud Webb on the Atlanta Hawks. Folks, I want to show you folks at home like this is like this is what would get us excited to go outside and play basketball. We would watch this on Sunday, like they had the NBA on NBC. So this is the guy that like got me excited. This dude was like 5'5", I want to say 5'7". And by the way, he played on, remember Dominique Wilkins? He played on the same team as him.
Yeah, Dominique.
So you had
He made me
him.
uncomfortable because Dominique that's a chick's name.
Yeah. Or a black guy name. You can't make fun of him. Kick your ass.
Kick his ass.
This is like the top 10. Look at this.
Yeah, Spud Webb was it.
Crazy, bro. This dude's 5'7". And like tiny, like skinny. Actually, you know what? Let me show you crazy. I want to show you what he did in the dunk. He won the dunk contest, 1986. There.
Goodness. John, this young man has been so impressive, and a crowd with a standing ovation. But that appears what he's going to do. It's conservative, but it still wins people, and probably the judges. He goes back to the double clutch move. That gets him. Boy, the crowd loves him. Without being able to palm the the ball. Out of sight.
Yeah, he can't palm the ball.
He's not even palming the ball. Right?
Yeah.
And Spud Webb comes through in the clutch. So much excitement around the NBA. It's really terrific to see that happen. And what that does, it gives so much hope to all.
Dude, he's so like matter of fact. He's just like, I could do this since I'm 12.
He was one of the two most famous Spuds ever.
Yeah.
It was him and Spud McKenzie.
Spud McKenzie, yeah, the dog.
Yeah. The dog on the.
That's funny.
That was like this weird breed of dog. He was always on a surfboard or on a skateboard or something like that, right? Like, can we show the folks Spud McKenzie?
Yeah, sounds like. Those dogs, by the way, they're like you don't want to mess with this breed of dog.
Some kind of terrier, right, or something like that. Like,
it's not a terrier. It's a this guy.
Oh, Spuds, but he was a bull terrier.
Yeah, that's what it is.
I think so.
He's the Bud Light dog.
Yeah, I didn't know his name was Spuds. I thought it was
Spuds. Yeah, Spuds McKenzie. He's a bull terrier dog character. Remember, it came to America, and I'm like, why are they using this?
Spuds? Really? I think I'm getting the Mandela effect.
Yeah, he's Spuds. Yeah,
I remember Spud, and from my alternate universe, Spuds. God.
Yeah, Spuds. I don't know. When it came to America, I'm like, why are they using this poor dog with beer? What are they doing to this dog? And why does he look weird? Using this breed of dog. Use another dog. They gave this breed a bad name.
Why? I don't get it. It was just,
I don't know.
Funny mascot. It was fun.
I always thought he was like an alcoholic dog. I was like, why?
Yeah, in the 80s we had Spuds McKenzie and we had Alf.
And then we had the Budweiser frogs. But that was later. That was the 90s.
Dude, mind blown, by the way.
What?
You know, do you remember the show Alf?
Yeah, of course. He was into cats.
Alien life form.
Yeah.
I didn't know it was. I didn't know. I thought it was just Alf.
Yeah, no, it's that.
Like Alfonso. They called him Alf, but no,
dude,
it's ALF.
But why did he like? He was into cats. He had like a whole thing with cats.
On his planet, that was their gourmet. That was a delicacy.
Oh, they ate cats. Oh, that's great.
No, they ate cats.
Oh man,
on his planet, that was a.
Yeah. Who did the voice of Alf? I wonder.
He was accused of eating their cat. But turned out he was innocent in one of the episodes.
Who did the voice of Alf?
I don't know.
Paul Fusco. This guy, Paul Fusco.
Let's play Alf. Let's play the opening theme to Alf.
Yeah.
This will help.
And then we will.
I think this will unjog something. This will heal
the
minds of people. Everybody's gonna be like,
yeah,
that's where that's from.
Alf. Come on. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I remember like the mom on Alf.
Yeah.
She looked like such an older mom to me, but now she's hot.
Yeah.
Like a good neighbor. Yeah. Probably younger than I am now.
Scary. Yeah. Okay. It's like his POV. Exactly.
That's where that kid's from. What you were wondering for.
I think it was one of the. This is like a later intro.
No, this is the intro.
Man, whoever created this.
And by the way, I remember Alf. I thought he was just a puppet. But he's a guy in a suit.
Well, there was a puppet and there was a guy in a suit also.
Yeah.
Here, Alf season 3 and 4.
Oh, this show had like 7 seasons.
Yeah, it had what?
It was like 7
Oh, it
seasons.
was
When
a
I,
hit show. It was a hit show. It was like a while, yeah.
it's like a major chunk of the 80s.
Yeah.
Alien life form, part of your family.
What?
Alien life form, part of your family.
Yeah. Yeah. Crazy. This guy. Yeah, this lady. He's trying to eat the candy. Bizarre.
Dude, isn't it the craziest thing? Like
Yeah.
sitcoms, that's a purely American
Oh, yeah.
innovation.
And we haven't seen a sitcom in a long time.
I mean, you have these
You have
you
these
have
shows, but there's
sitcoms.
no audiences anymore.
Yeah. No, but the sitcom is like, the fat
Yeah.
guy with a
Yeah,
hot
yeah,
wife
yeah, yeah.
who he doesn't deserve. That's what happened to sitcoms, basically. Used to be father knows best,
Yeah.
or the father's, you know,
Dude, the last sitcom that
a
we had
respectable guy,
with an audience, with a live audience, was basically the Drew Carey show.
Oh yeah, that's right.
That's it. We don't have these anymore. Oh, Big Bang Theory. I'm very sorry. Big Bang Theory. That's it.
Oh really? Big Bang?
The last major laugh track show, or whatever, sitcom. Not a laugh track show, but yeah, we don't have it.
Yeah, it was like that sitcom and Mr. Belvedere
Yeah.
were like the two like main sitcoms like that I felt like.
Yeah. I enjoyed the Cosby Show. I liked Growing Pains.
Yeah, all those, of course.
Yeah, all that stuff.
Cosby, Mr. Belvedere, Growing Pains. There's a lot of them, but that's just like
Yeah. Remember, what was it? There was one with Jason Bateman.
yeah, Valerie's Family.
It's
And then when
the Hogan family.
that was later.
Oh,
It started out as Valerie's Family,
really?
and then they fired that actress for some reason, and
Really?
and then they made her die in the
Really?
show. After that, they called it the Hogan Family.
It was called here. Hold on a second.
They Roseanne'd her.
Yeah, originally titled Valerie's Family.
I used to
Interesting.
watch that show.
Interesting.
They
Yeah,
made her die in the show.
It's really crazy. Why? Valerie Harper, the title role, is a military struggle career. After the first 2 seasons, due to salary dispute involving future profits, Harper made the decision to leave the show. Her character was killed off at the start of the season 3, and Sandy Duncan joined the cast as Valerie's sister-in-law and the boy's aunt.
That's right, Aunt Sandy. That's
Sandy
right.
Duncan, yeah.
Sandy Duncan was like, she was like a musical. She started in musicals. She was like like Peter Pan, and she played Peter Pan.
Yeah, Broadway
Duncan-
thing in Peter Pan, yeah.
God, these unbelievable these shows.
Yeah.
And these
Yeah,
are like evenings,
Yeah.
evening sitcoms,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
And then you had edgier shows too, like The Equalizer.
Yeah.
Remember The Equalizer?
Yeah. Yeah. Crazy. What else did I like? I'm trying to think. Because these shows they were already on rerun when we came to America, so like I saw like reruns of all this. Step by Step, I like that was later.
Yeah. Full House, Full House and Step by Step were like related. They were like offshoots of each other, right?
Yeah, sort of.
And I think that Family Matters with Urkel.
That was
part of the same
that was a Chicago one. So
yeah,
you
but they
had
were in the same universe. It was like the
same universe as Perfect Strangers, yeah.
No, not Perfect Strangers.
As what?
As Step by Step.
Step by Step, yeah.
And
but not Full House, not Full House.
Full House, yeah.
Full House San Francisco.
Okay, it was a different city, but it was like the same producers,
Maybe
same universe.
could be, yeah.
It was like Marvel and DC.
Yeah. Yeah. Remember that show? Uh, there was a show with I'm just looking at all the Jason Bateman shows. Yeah, Hogan Family, that was like his main one.
Well, okay, so
Remember the show It's Your
Family
Move?
Ties with Justine Bateman.
Yeah.
She was like,
Yeah.
Yeah,
that was a sister.
Yeah.
Family Ties. A lot of stuff. A lot of stuff in
it's
the
America.
80s. It's crazy. Yeah, that's when like Family Ties, they had like a character who was like, Michael J. Fox played like a Republican kid.
Yeah.
And
And
nobody
his parents were old hippies.
Yeah.
They weren't old. They're probably as old as we are now. His parents.
Yeah.
So
Michael
listen,
Gross.
dude. So why are we talking about sitcoms, folks? You know what a sitcom is? It's like it shows it like it was like a good example family.
Yeah.
That they wanted to show you what a good family was.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
A good old American family.
And there's like stuff, there's like a problem and like the parents resolve it, or like they have to resolve the problem at the end. Some kind of like a situation or something, and in between there's like there's like a comic relief, there's like a funky character, like Urkel, some
Or
kind
a
of comic
boner.
relief, or yeah, but oh my God, dear Lord,
Dude, could we show like the best of boner from
oh my God,
from
Growing Pains, Growing Pains.
Growing Pains, my God, yeah. Growing Pains had an offshoot called The 10 of Us with a high school coach with 10 daughters or something like that.
Yeah, something like that, yeah. Here.
No, not the tragic story, just like
Boner for President, something like that.
any kind of boner.
Here.
What you
Dude,
want to
man, what's his name? Cameron. This is Candace Cameron's brother, Kirk Cameron. He's a
Yeah.
big evangelical
Well, heard
guy.
on the PA system this morning, there was some
Fraud.
okay, fraud in yesterday's voting. So I will not be able to serve as your president. But I do want to thank everyone out there who did vote for me, both those who do exist and those who don't. So, since the charter of the Student Council says that those who tamper with the nominations or the elections must be disqualified,
Oh.
here is your new student body
Biden.
president, the only person on either ticket who was not a crook, Richard Milhouse Stabone.
Oh yeah, that's why they
Stabone.
called him Boner because he was Stabone.
So Trump is boner. Trump is boner.
I was always wondering, did the word that the slang word for erection, boner, did that come out after
No.
Growing Pains or before?
Yeah.
How could they do that?
I don't know.
Like, was it not as prevalent in that time? Because
I
was one of those, like,
don't
confusing-
I really don't know, but it came out in the 50s or in the 40s.
He had a boner. Like, what the? That's insane.
In the 1800s. I mean, I don't know. I don't know why they would use it. I remember when I was a kid, I'm like, why would they do this? Why?
I
This is
didn't
not
know because when I was watching Growing Pains, I was
Yeah.
like 6. I didn't know what a boner was. I thought boner was Mike's friend from Growing Pains.
I was
didn't know-
already like 11 because it was reruns, and I'm like, why is this guy boner? Why did they do this? What is going on? What's happening?
It was totally fine to me. I had no idea.
It was not fine to me. I was already old enough.
No, I didn't
Yeah.
know that. I didn't know it was anything other than that kid.
Yeah. Dude, that's kind of like you know what that's like? That's like when I found out what a splinter was. I thought splinter was the rat.
Yeah.
I didn't know in English what a splinter, like a zanoza
Yeah.
in Russian.
That one I knew. That one I
didn't know that because I came to America and the guy's like, "Oh, you splinter." I'm like, "What? There's a rat who knows karate?" He's like, "No, piece of wood in my finger."
Folks, we're talking about the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles cartoon.
Yes.
and they had their sensei and leader was
Yeah, the
a
Splinter.
rat named Splinter, who was
Yes.
a ninja rat.
Yeah.
And so that's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Dude, do you remember when
can you show
Teenage
just-
Mutant Ninja Turtles came out, the movie? Dude,
Yeah.
it was animatronic, those suits. Incredible. I show the folks at home what they
Dude,
made?
that movie was awesome. You know why?
Yeah, yeah.
It really shows you a slice of New York in
Yeah.
like 1990, or
Yeah.
no, like 1989.
Yeah.
I don't know that I like the camera filters that they use there. Could we just show like
Yeah. I'll show.
it
I'll
showed
show.
you like cool scenes of New York at night.
Yeah.
Like
Yep.
I'm surprised, like
It was amazing.
they did a good job with like
They
Ninja
did a
Turtle
very
1.
they did a very good job. I don't remember who the director was,
1990, yeah.
but I don't know. You know where I saw it? I saw it in triple this on Avenue H, Triple Kent on Coney Island.
Yeah. No, Max was right around the corner from there.
Will ya? Oh, you let him blow right by you. Can you believe this guy? Come on, don't just ninja the damn rabbit. Do something. But, hey, April. Hey, you are great. Thanks, Mikey. Oh, she called me Mikey.
Yeah.
You hear anything yet?
Not yet. They're going to repeat the interview at 5 and at 6, and we're just going to have to wait and see if it helps generate any new information. Hey, I told him to call me here immediately if anyone calls the station.
Thanks, April. We really appreciate, everything.
Yeah. Hey, forget it. Where's Raphael? Well, I was gonna give you guys a tour of the store. Shall we go get him?
Nope.
No.
He just needs to blow off some steam.
Yeah. You guys must be studying the Bridge book of ninja fighting. I mean, come on. How do you guys expect to beat me? Good answer. Good answer.
I only keep it open part-time, mostly for my...
Anyway. Dude, you know who directed this movie? This guy, Stephen Barron. He directed Billie Jean by Michael Jackson, the music videos.
That makes sense.
Burning Up by Madonna, Summer of '69, Run to You by Brian Adams, Money for Nothing by Dire Straits. He directed all these
Holy crap.
Electric Avenue, I Don't Want to Dance by Eddie Grant, Going Underground by The Jam, Don't You Want Me by The Human League, Baby Jane by Rod Stewart, Pale Shelter by Tears for Fears, Africa by Toto, and Take on Me by Aha.
Dude, that's mind-blowing because those are
He
all
directed,
amazing
yeah.
videos.
And you know what else he directed? Coneheads and The Adventures of Pinocchio. Irish
I
guy.
don't know about the Adventures of Pinocchio, but Coneheads was awesome.
Coneheads, yeah.
Everything that you mentioned, I recognize like maybe like 60% of it, and it's all awesome.
Yeah.
No surprise there.
He directed one
Basically,
movie
a music
before that.
video.
Yeah. He directed Coneheads after that. Then he directed that's it.
Was that the one? It wasn't. I think it was the second Turtles that had like Vanilla Ice, Go Ninja, Go Ninja, Go. Right?
It may have been. I don't know who directed that. Let's see. Mutant.
No, I don't know. I don't know. I'm sure he didn't direct the second one.
Turtles 2. 1991. Michael Pressman. Oh, this guy directed I remember the name.
My friend Eric writes,
Yeah.
Canada is a suck.
Is the suck, yeah.
Is the suck.
Yeah. So many Arabs, asshole Canucks. Ay, ay. So this guy directed a bunch of shows. Chicago Hope. Remember that show about the hospital?
I remember it. I didn't watch it though.
Yeah. He directed a bunch of Law and Order stuff. All these kind of shows. NCIS.
Dude, I was watching.
Whatever.
I'm kind of like, my wife insisted on bringing a TV into the house. So now, there's a lot of TV watching. And I've been watching this Sherlock Holmes show.
Uh-huh.
I guess it came out in like like 20, not like 10 or 12 years ago or something like that.
Yeah.
It's with the dude from Train Spotting or
Yeah.
Hackers.
Yeah.
He's playing Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah.
And Watson is played by Lucy Liu.
Oh my God. Why?
Which is okay, whatever. You know what I mean? Like, it's fine. You want to make Watson into a chick? Okay, kind of works. I didn't mind it. Doesn't matter. You know what I mean? But they made,
It's called Elementary. It's a series.
Yeah, that's right. So so obviously there's two famous recurring characters in Sherlock Holmes. You have Irene Adler, that's his love interest, and then
Yeah.
you have James Moriarty, his arch nemesis.
Yeah.
They introduced Irene Adler, right? And he was all mad that whatever, that she was killed by Moriarty. And then here's what they did. They turned Irene Adler into Moriarty. They're the same person. I'm like,
The same person, yeah.
like, just why?
The great love of his life. Jamie Moriarty and Irene Adler. It's a girl.
Yeah.
Listen, James Bond, the next James Bond is going to be African English.
Yeah, that's precisely correct. Yeah, it should be. That's finally they're giving some justice to the character, right? Fine.
Yeah. Lashana Lynch, this guy's name is. I'm sure he's a good. I've seen him in other movies. He's a decent actor. Sorry, not Lashana Lynch. I apologize. Wait, I'm looking at a photo of this guy. Oh, they were saying that Idris Elba was gonna do that, but he didn't want it to be about race. Oh, it was Idris Elba.
No, because they were also talking about making James Bond into a black lady.
Yeah, that was this Lynch lady. Yeah, they haven't decided actually. They haven't yeah.
I don't care either way. Bond is dead to me.
Yeah.
Fine. It's fine.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Well, all right. I guess we figured this out.
I think we've.
I'm going to Newport, Rhode Island tomorrow for the weekend, and it's the oldest synagogue in America, the Touro Synagogue.
Interesting.
Very cool. It goes back to the 1600s.
Yeah, and it was a congregation which George Washington went to visit, corresponded with, spoke to.
Yeah.
And could I read something that I saw?
Shearit Israel, or moved. Yeah.
At that time, it was an Orthodox.
Yeah.
Is it Orthodox again?
Well, no, I don't know what it is now. They get minyan, like they gather a minyan to go there.
Yeah.
Since they have a Torah. It's not like anything, nothing there that's like bizarre. So as long as you get a minyan, you do an Orthodox minyan. You can do whatever you want there, right? It's not like a foreign, God forbid anything.
I saw something about that James Adams wrote to a Jewish guy,
John Adams.
Let me see. Did I post that in the chat?
Oh, it says August 1790, Washington visited Newport as part of a tour of New England. Following Rhode Island's ratification of the Constitution, he met with various local religious groups, including Christians, Freemasons, and the Torah Synagogue congregation, known as Congregation Yeshuat Israel, and read open letters in a prearranged ceremony. Torah Synagogue's warden Moses Seichas wrote to Washington expressing the support of the congregation for Washington's administration and good wishes for him. Washington sent a letter on August 21st in response, which read in part, "The government of the United States gives to bigotry no sanction, to persecution no assistance. May the children of the stock of Abraham who dwell in this land continue to merit and enjoy the goodwill of the other inhabitants, while everyone shall sit in safety under his own vine and fig tree. There shall be none to make him afraid. May the Father of all mercy scatter light and not darkness in our paths. May us all in our several vocations useful here, and in his own due time and way everlastingly happy." Letter of George Washington to the Hebrew congregation in Newport, Rhode Island. Congregation annually reads President Washington's letter on religious pluralism. Oh, it's cool to go there tomorrow. And celebrates the occasion with invited speakers. Oh, so they invited before Bader Ginsburg and Leonard Kagan. Oh, these are like Jewish people. June 2011, the original letter is owned by Morris Mergenson Foundation and is valued between $5 million and $10 million.
So can I read you this? This is what I saw.
It had Sephardic Jews as a
Can I
congregation.
read you something?
Yeah, please.
Posted by Ruvain Goldstein.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I saw that guy.
President and founding father John Adams to Mordecai Emanuel Noah in 1819. He writes, President Adams, right? John Adams writes, "I wish that you had been at the head of 100,000 Israelites, making a conquest of that country and restoring their nation. For I really wish the Jews again in Judea as an independent nation."
Yeah. Wow. Crazy.
And then somebody writes here, "But I was reliably informed being a Zionist is not America first." Yeah. Yeah, the founding fathers were Zionists for sure. They thought themselves Israelites.
Yeah. The current rabbi, or the rabbi who was recently rabbi, is of
the White House, right?
Graduate of of this shul today. Some guy who graduated like Shiva Flatbush. It's Orthodox, non-Orthodox thing.
Yeah.
Place. America's oldest synagogue. It's called Yeshuat Israel.
Yeah, Yeshiva Flatbush was like a big deal, like to all us Haredim, because they're modern Orthodox, but like boys and girls together were like, ooh, that's
yeah. I think what's his name went there? Rabbi Kahana went there. I think. I don't remember.
Yeshiva Flatbush, really?
I don't remember. Rabbi Meir Kahana, he's like a descendant of like serious, like Hasidic people on one side of his family.
Rabbi Meir Kahana was a serious rabbi.
Yeah.
In his own right, and we talked about his pirush on the Chumash, his commentary.
Yeah.
On the.
He went to somewhere. No, he went to there you go. Yeah, Yeshiva Flatbush and Brooklyn Talmudic Academy for high school. And he went to Mir Yeshiva in Brooklyn. Yeah, and one of he comes from this Rappaport, it's Cohen's. And it goes back to like, supposedly you can trace back his lineage to like Elazar ben Azariah. Like the 1st century from, the Talmud.
Yeah.
And one of his father was a disciple, or his grandfather was, it was a disciple in Tzfat, of Chaim Halberstam of the sons of Rebbe.
Folks, that's why we don't give a shit when anybody says about, because as Jews, we know our pedigree. We've kept track of our ancestors. We know exactly where we come from and who we are.
We go all the way back to Israel.
We couldn't give a damn what any of you think we are or we're not. We couldn't care less. Okay.
Yeah.
You could lie. You could make up whatever nonsense you want. Not going to work. I mean, most of you who do that are from Pakistan. Okay, as we've discovered as of late, right?
Yeah.
We're talking about Twitter accounts who like to, they like to spew all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I mean, we know where we come from. We know one of the ways in which Jews are able to track their ancestry is because on the one hand, we do know who our grandfathers were, but we know who our teachers were, and we
Yeah.
know who our teachers were, and who our teachers were.
Yeah.
Right? It's the tradition of Torah study and famous leaders and communities that they led, and that's how quite efficient way to mark our path through the years, through the generations. So
Yeah.
doesn't matter what you do, you're not gonna make the Jews forget who they are.
It's just astounding to me that this is still like a conversation, and it's just like this whole.
It's only a conversation. Look, the only reason I know about Candace Owens or Jackson Hinkle
Yeah.
or any of these is because these Jewish accounts
Yeah.
regurgitate what they say by criticizing them. I wouldn't know who they were if it wasn't, you understand? Like if it wasn't for the people who respond to them. So it shouldn't be a conversation.
Yeah. But it's not only them, it's just like it's also the campus kids. It's all like, it's almost like, I don't know. It's just like, it's astounding to me that people still think that we invaded our own land. That's the most astounding thing to me. To this day.
It's not surprising to me at all.
I mean, it proves what, Rashi said.
For sure. No, anything that you do that's worthwhile or good, or right is gonna get the most amount of pushback.
There's your answer, my friend, to your
Yeah, it doesn't make me feel any better.
coming to people about SSRNA.
Oh, but when it comes to having an argument about about history, that's one thing. But when it comes to trying to get people not to die, that's completely different.
Yeah. Well, sir, God willing, very soon we'll be able to illuminate things for people. I think it's coming very soon. I think
I prefer it not come at all. I don't need to.
No, I'm not talking about the horror show. I'm talking about just like people realizing what happened, and then kind of like the Eichmann trial. At least people will want to talk. That's it. That's all we need.
Today, we should just mention that they passed the big beautiful bill. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, willing. Hopefully they'll get rid of the IRS. No, I'm kidding. Actually, no, I'm not kidding.
No, I'm
get
not
rid of the
kidding.
IRS.
It'd be nice. It'd be nice.
Yeah, and not have to file stuff that you're. It's like DeSantis is like, what did he say? He's like, regarding the property taxes. He's like, why are you paying taxes on something you own? He's like, you bought a television. Do you have to keep paying taxes on television after the first time you paid taxes on it? Consumer tax to, I don't know, PC Richard or something like that. This is astounding.
We can't conclude without talking about Gator Traz.
Oh my God. Listen, it's a cartoon, but it's good. It's a good cartoon.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember. I'm trying to make everybody remember, Kimbo, the Florida man.
Oh, Kimbo Slice? Oh,
Not
that
Kimbo
guy.
Slice,
Yeah.
The AI generated black dude who's kicking the alligator in the face.
Yeah, it's hilarious. That's the only guy who can escape. I'll get Alcatraz.
Yeah, he's the only one, right?
Dude, all these people are like, oh my God, they make it. They don't care. Do they care about the ladies who were like all these ladies who are complaining, the lefty ladies who are complaining about this concentration camp? They don't care about the ladies that were raped by the guys who were in that concentration camp.
Could not care less about them.
That's why they're there. That's why they're freaking there.
Yeah, thank God for penitentiary.
They raped, they murdered.
Just like Richard Pryor says, thank God for penitentiaries.
We'll end on that, man.
Yeah.
It's not the Shem. We'll have July 4th, and then we'll have real independence.
And now we have to have Alex on.
Alex.
Let's okay.
Oh, Alex, yeah, that's right.
Okay, listen.
Yeah.
Let's plan like what time. You know, I was gonna say let's schedule next week's episode today, but we never know when.
Yeah.
All right, we'll just contact them
We'll
beforehand.
figure it out. We'll figure it out. It'll
All right,
happen.
everyone.
All right. Happy 4th. And
Happy 4th.
don't blow your fingers off with fireworks. Peace.
I couldn't afford fireworks this year. It's pretty
expensive. It's expensive.
Yeah.
All
All
right,
right.
man. Well done.